Yo, what's up, everybody? Cova back here again with another live stream. Today we have a special guest, Jeremy Hyler. But before we get into that, let me run some quick promo. You guys know this is my new channel, so don't forget to subscribe to this channel. This channel is going to be a live stream exclusive channel with a few recorded videos here and there. Also, go check out my website, who actually Jeremy actually helped me build. So my website, you can go and check out my comics, some of my artwork. If you want to commission me or anything like that, you can go and check out some of the comics I have in my stock, all that good stuff. Also, you can go subscribe to my Patreon, which I don't push enough, but I'm going to start. On my Patreon, I post pretty frequently. I usually do my weekly pickups. I'll post full length interviews that I used for other videos that I might have edited out from other videos, and things like that. Most of these posts are free for the most part. All you can do is just sign up as a member, and then you'll get all these posts for free. I do have some stuff that are behind the paywall, like my tutorials on how to build a YouTube channel. I'm currently working on a series of a series of videos about how my process of making comics and things like that. So if you guys are interested, go subscribe to my Patreon. The paid membership is only $5. I have a $10 membership, but I think I might just get rid of that and just do the straight flat $5 membership. But yes, I'm about to bring Jeremy on, and we're gonna look at some of his comics. Yo, what's up, man?
Yo, what's up?
How's your day been going?
Not too bad. Busy day at work. Been juggling that stuff, and then school just started with the kids. So yeah, just handling all that stuff. And yeah, man, I'm ready to do some drawing tonight. I hadn't been able to do some in the last couple of days, so ready to jump back in.
Yeah, same. I haven't been able to draw as much as I wanted to either because I did the convention, and then I had got the funds for the Kickstarter that same weekend, so I was able to I put in the order for that on a Monday night, and I was up all night doing that, and yeah, that was a mission in itself. So I haven't been able to draw really this week either, or like this past just like Friday, like really draw. So yeah, so um today we're gonna look at your comics, one of the many you've produced in the last I don't know, like year. You've made so many comics, which I find extraordinary. There's so many, like, not many people who actually produce comics as fast as you. I think the only other person is like Brunson. He produces a lot of comics really fast. So yeah, so we're gonna look at your Godzilla Peace on Earth comic, which I find is like one of my favorites. I think behind the Ninja Turtle one, and your Batman stuff is really cool too. But I like this comic a lot because it's in the color. So, what was the idea behind this comic?
So I just finished doing Batman Reign, and
Mm-hmm.
I was making that book. A lot of things were happening, right? In my personal life and stuff like that. My dad just had a stroke. Um, Kira Toriyama passed, Ed
Mm-hmm.
Piskor passed. So that book,
Yeah.
I feel the pain on that page. There's a lot of turmoil. So for me, looking back, I can look at that back at it now and like the comic, but at the time, it was a struggle to get through that book. So
Yeah.
as soon as I finished that book, like at the end of May, I immediately went on vacation with my family, and I was like, I'm going to try to make something where I have no work to contend with. It's just family stuff during the day, and then nighttime I just make a book. So I try to make a
Mm-hmm.
book. In this book, I produced in 8 days.
Wow,
So for
that's
me,
crazy.
yeah. So for me, this was like a challenge to see like what am I able to do when I don't have the distractions of like a normal day job and anything else going on, and
Mm-hmm.
also coming off of another book and just pushing myself through it. So you can see some of that catharticism of like going through whatever I was going through the previous months. That's what kind of
Yeah.
unfolds on this page. But the idea I had for a while is like, what would Godzilla's life be like if there was nothing left? If
Mm-hmm.
the Earth has gone by maybe 1,000 or so years, maybe 10,000 years, and everything's already been decimated, and he's the last thing left. But except for wildlife and maybe whatever else is kind of taken over normal life, and I kind of gave him a consciousness of like his daily routines, or maybe him sleeping for like 1,000 years and waking up and seeing that nothing has changed, but he's in isolation and, without purpose. What does that look like? So you can
Yeah.
see like a little bit of me on the page of like, if I didn't have art, maybe that's how I would feel. Like you're waking up from a long slumber, and just trying to find yourself.
Yeah, I feel that. It's kind of like now that you say that, it kind of reminds me of like I Am Legend to a degree, kind of like, but with Godzilla.
Yeah.
And also like the idea of you just being in isolation by yourself, and what you do at that time. But if you were just by yourself, like in I Am Legend, Will Smith was like just walk around talking to mannequins, and the only other person that he had, or person being he had to talk to, was his dog, and
Hmm.
all that. So I think that's pretty interesting, because I mean, if you think about it, Godzilla's name is God, for a reason. So he has like some sort of like, there's a meaning behind it, like some sort of purpose behind who he was, outside of his like enormous strength and everything like that. But man, that's crazy. You were able to do this in 8 days, because like it's not just like a black and white comic. You were also, you colored it and stuff like that. Obviously, you simplified your color palette to like 3 or 4 colors, with the
Hmm.
purples and the like the maroonish colors. So I mean,
Hmm.
it is a fantastic. I remember when you first posted it, and I was like, man, this guy is just killing it. Like you have a very good, like, you have your own voice when you make your comics, and it comes up on the page, especially just like on your like the way you lay everything out, the way you set up your scenes, the way you have your pacing, I think is very like obvious. Like, oh, that's Jeremy. Like he knows what he's doing. Like even with this scene, right? This is like one of your like, I think every single comic you put out that I've seen and read, you have like one page that's like gets the attention. So like this was like the Batman Snow. There's a scene where Bruce is walking through the snow all bloodied up and stuff, right? And then this one is
Hmm.
like, God save us, and it has Godzilla. So I think that's really awesome.
Oh, I appreciate it. Yeah, this I call those like kind of like, they are splash pages, but when I'm putting a book together, I'm thinking about like what's the total, like what I'm trying to tell. And
Mhm.
sometimes like in a digital side, it's a little bit more organic that way, where I can have like, say I want to make a 12-page story, but then it turns into 16 or 18 pages just cause the beats I want to sell. As a
Mhm.
editor and stuff like that, I'm looking at like what's the pace of this, so I can add more here and there. Now, when I'm transferring that into regular traditional art, you have to be a little bit more thoughtful in it. But I can still do that, since if I'm making my own personal comics, not working for like any of the big twos or anything like that, I don't have to worry about page count. So whatever I feel like, I can deem like, well, it'd be really good to have something more punchy and powerful here. So when I get a page like the God Save Us page, that was where I was like, hey, I need an additional page to actually make the page limit. But I think
Mhm.
this organically would tell the story that I want to more. So I adjust the text in between all that to line up to where I'm trying to gather those details. So
Yeah.
that's why, I get these, with the Batman stuff, it's all in silence. But with this one, I was like, I'm pushing myself with color because I wanted to see what I could do with color, and also telling story from, an internal perspective of like this character, with Godzilla.
Yeah.
What does he believe? What does his beliefs are? People are crying out to him. Does he see those as cry of help, or does he see those as cries of fear? But for him, no matter what, it always ends with the same results, with destruction.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I definitely see that, and I feel that. I mean, I do the same thing with my stories when I make my comics. I have like a set goal of pages, but then I'll like each step, it always changes. So I'll write my script, and then I'll do my thumbnails, and then from the script to the thumbnails, things might change, and from the thumbnails
Mhm.
to the pencils, things will change. I either will, might add a page, subtract a page, or even change it up, and then even from then to when I'm actually doing my inks and stuff, things would change a lot. And I think that is the power of doing your own story, and you have your own creative control of just like adding or subtracting. But for me, is like I have like a bad habit of making like super duper long comics. Like like I need to start figuring out how to confine myself to 24 pages. I feel like I'll be able to produce more, because I'm always doing like size comics, like 32 pages, 40 pages, 56, like like
Mhm.
super crazy like page counts for no reason other than just because like I can and I just want to.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I feel what you're saying about that. Just like your own, like your feelings and what you're trying to do, and then the dialogue you added in here kind of give Godzilla this consciousness of like he's kind of like young or something like that, like simple in a way. But you can also
Yeah.
see his power, like especially with like that last page where he's like blasting everything. Like he is this immense god, and then he is like, what I'm saying, he's still Godzilla. It's just now there's nobody there to um reinforce that with like the fear or like anything. He's just like him against nature at this point, you know?
Right. And when we're seeing that those last shots where, he's looking towards the heavens or the sky or, the celestial stuff, he's like, maybe
Hmm.
there's something else out there just like him. And that's why he's making it as bright as possible so they can see his light. Because he doesn't
Yeah.
quite understand how stars are. Like for
Mhm.
him, he could be the last beings left. And for like us, we don't know what's out there. Maybe even
Yeah.
possibly Godzilla doesn't even know. He is the ambivalentness of whatever he is. So that's kind of what I was doing with that. And it's like kind of like how us as artists, we're all kind of in this, in our heads when we're making stuff, and then we think about like, I hope someone else is out there doing the same thing I am right now at,
Hmm.
2 a.m. with my head down on a tablet or on the paper, grinding away at trying to create something for other people. So that's kind of where a lot of those story elements kind of come together. And with his childlike nature, I was, I look at my son, in this photo right here, me and him are
Hmm.
like, Godzilla, monsters, anything like that. He's really into the Gill Man right now.
Oh, wow.
He's just really into, and I'm watching him play with his toys. He's got a story in his head, and seeing that childlike nature of like how he thinks about how these creatures talk to one another and things like that. That's kind of where I was kind of integrating that into the story of like, how would Godzilla think? Obviously, I feel it'll be slightly primitive, but like intellectual at the same time,
Hmm.
because he's obviously smart enough to know, but he doesn't have the same like intellect like we would. And I'm studying this, and like even all the font choices, I found this font tool on my iPad, and that's my 5-year old. That's when he was 5. That's his handwriting. So I embedded his handwriting as the font to kind of get that organic, not perfect style of writing down, because I think it works perfectly for his dialogue boxes.
Hmm. Yeah, for
So
sure. Yeah. Yeah, it definitely kind of gives them like a different feel, with the tone. Whereas like the colors you use and choices you use kind of gives like this drained feeling of like there's nothing there. Everything's like dry. It's kind of hot. Everything just seems to be like very bleak, I guess, in a way,
yeah.
right? With like the purples, the magentas, all those colors that you're using, and then the
Yeah.
dialogue kind of adds like a different element of like, okay, well, everything kind of looks this way, but what he's saying and his perspective is definitely like has a, like I said earlier, kind of like an innocence to it, to
Hmm.
where it kind of like plays on what's going on in the panels and the page layouts. So I think it's just dope, man. I this comic is really really cool. I mean, a lot of your comics are really dope, and I think it's just interesting how you came up with this concept with this character. Where, I mean, most times when you see the iterations, I mean, I haven't seen a lot of Godzilla films. I've seen a few of them, but like most times, at least what I've gathered is that he is just like this inevitable
Hmm.
creature, right? Like nobody's gonna just take him down. Nobody's gonna stop him. No matter what monsters you throw at him, he is going to end up on top. 9 times out of 10. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So I think it's interesting that you gave him that mindset of just like you know, like
I really
innocence and
appreciate
stuff
it.
like
Yeah, I
that.
wanted to do something different from, I grew up on the movies. I've probably seen all of them at this point, and
Wow.
I think minus one just came out maybe what 6 months before I made this.
Mhm.
So Godzilla was already in my mind anyway. So it was like, well, what's a fun story to do? And I'd done Batman, I'd done Splinter. I was like, well, let me do something that's monster related, something with
Mhm.
kaiju's, because that's fun, but still trying to do something personal, still trying to do something different with that medium. Because what naturally most people would do would probably be like a monster versus a monster. And I'm like, well, there's always something like when nothing's left, what is left, right? So it's like, and like, he's the largest creature in this planet, but he's still like, there's still some life left. But even to him, it's like, is it worth killing or is it worth just letting them be? And
Yeah.
I even have those choices like, well, tomorrow maybe I'll eat them or things like that. It's like he doesn't want to be destructive. He just happens to be destructive because is that in his nature?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that is interesting. Yeah, it's like, and even like, I could even take it like another step where it's like, well, if I do start killing these things, there's gonna be less things, less creatures, less beings around for me to interact with, or at
Right.
least, or even like see my power. You know what I'm saying? Like me blow up all these islands or what all this other stuff. And like you said, he's calling out, maybe to somebody else to come out to see him and stuff like that, you know.
Hmm.
Yeah, it really does remind me of like an I Am Legend. Just like by myself, this big city, there's just deer and mannequins and my dog, and then these like, you know, the underground people, whatever. But so yeah, I think that's really a really cool like choice of like you know, your storytelling and stuff like that. I mean, even like we can just go to your other comics. Like you have such a diverse you know portfolio of books that you made, and you did all these like within like like a year and a half, you know.
Yeah,
So I think
I
that's
did all
interesting.
those books from January till November. So in that time span, I did all those books. Yeah.
That's sick, man. Like, and I mean, even some of these stories inspired me. Like, your the memoir you did for your grandfather. It
Hmm.
inspired me to do my basketball comic about like because I want to do something more slice of life. I was like, oh, Jeremy's kind of, you know, you're setting this tone, and I was like, well, maybe I feel like I can do that too. I feel like I can. So this comic inspired me to do something like that, to like tell a story that's personal to me about like, you know, my times playing basketball, and where you're telling a story that's more, you know, more heartfelt, more heartwarming, and you know, something that a lot of people go through, you know, in a real way. So I think this
Yeah,
comic is really beautiful as well, you know.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I did. You know, I grew up with my grandfather. He was very close to me. And then one day he just started slipping away, and it was a slow slip, like, you know, a decade of watching him kind of fall apart. And it was just, you know, what could they do besides try to prolong it? But it's like, you know, we manifest this, you know, dementia and Alzheimer's as as this disease, this creature that basically takes away everything who they are, their memories, their
Hmm.
language, everything. And like while I was working on this book, you know, I knew my personal story I wanted to tell with it, but I still did research on like what's it like for a person with dementia.
Yeah.
So you'll see like in scenes like where I have them at the grocery store, basically like they start to see like words and letters not make sense anymore. So everything
Hmm.
starts to feel like that's supposed to be like Publix, but it could look like Scrabble to them.
Wow.
And it's like Campbell's soup doesn't look like that. Meat starts to change into other things. Like they start to see like a decoded version of language, and that's probably why they start to lose their ability to speak as well. Like my my grandfather's sister, now, she went very fast when she got dementia as well. She got it after him, but passed away within like 6 months versus a decade like he did. But the last time I saw her was like at New Year's one year, and she couldn't even speak.
Oh man.
Like it was just babble. And like I remember talking to her maybe 3 months ago, and it was like perfectly normal. So it's like everyone has a different story to tell. And you know, with this, I wanted to share it with the world. I put it on Reddit just to, you know, put it on the you know, the Alzheimer's research R, you know, rated one. And
Hmm.
I put it there, and I had doctors reach out to me. I had, you know, people who've also gone through these experiences reach out to me saying like this is the same types of thing. So it's like it's a universal story at the end of the day, even if it
Yeah,
is
for sure.
super personal to myself.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, yeah, it is a great story, and it's just like these are the type of comics that I really like. You know, when I read somebody who just like, you know, outside of the fantastical stuff, when I see like comics like this where they're more personable to the creator, like when people do like memoirs or things like that. I always find those fascinating, interesting, and way more heartwarming and stuff like that because they are elements. Even if it's something that like I don't have, I've never had anybody in my family go through dementia, so
Yeah.
I don't get that part, but I understand the part of like growing, getting older, right, and having a family member lose themselves and stuff like that, and then just like it also makes me take a peek into who you are. You know what I'm saying? As a writer, as an artist, and things like that. So I think it's just it's super dope, and like it really is like it shows another part of your writing, you know what I'm saying, of your storytelling ability to pivot in certain ways where I feel like, you know, with comics, a lot of people think about, you know, superheroes or things like that, the fantastical stuff, but like the real heartwarming, hard hitting, award winning stuff is like these type of stories, right? Like Blankets, for example, from
Mm.
what's his name? I have the book right here, but Craig Thompson. Like I love his stuff. All of his books I've read because he does give you that element of personable like stories, encounters, and stuff like that. Durf kind of does similar things, and they also give you like, you know, education with it and things like that, right? I mean, when I first read Blankets, I read that thing like all the way through, like because it was just so good. I was just like so enthralled with the idea of like what he was talking about when he was giving his own experiences. There's another comic that I read about the creator. It's like one of the banned books. It's about their experiences like being gay and kind of like figuring out their own personable, like, like their pronouns and what it meant to be like that type of person, stuff like that. Oh man, I forgot. I did it and I wrote it on a video, but it's like one of the most banned books out there. But it's like one of the books that
Yeah.
everybody points out and like, oh, they're trying to make everybody, what I'm saying, like one of those books. But it's like really, really good, and it really gave me like the perspective of like what it's like to be that type of person, right? To like not
Yeah.
understand your own sexuality, not understand the gender norms that you're supposed to confine into and things like that. It really opened my eyes because obviously I'm not that person. I don't know what that feels like. So when I was reading that person's experiences going through that, I was like, damn, that's really crazy, because it's kind of like, sad. It's weird. I'm not weird. It's sad, and it's interesting that like that happens to people, and that
Mhm.
it's really seemed really like tough. You know what I'm saying? When I was reading, I was like, damn, like, that's crazy that person has to go through that they don't know how to feel about something that's supposed to be natural to everybody. You know what I'm saying? That,
Yeah.
so those are the type of, like, I like one day that's something I strive to do, is like make a memoir about us in like my life and certain aspects of my life. But obviously I'm still like getting older. So I want to, once I get to like a good age, I'm like, all right, here's like, something like that. That's something that I feel like is interesting.
No, I totally understand that. Like, even with my current book that I'm working on, it's a lot of personal experiences that I'm pulling from, not just my own, but like from my wife's culture, things like that. With Virulent, I'm looking at it from a perspective of like people that have been marginalized, people that, like even with, like with Scrubs and stuff like yours, it's
Mm.
like someone living in the shadow or not fulfilling the shoes that they're feel like they're meant to fill. Those types of roles also, and how they play into other people's lives, and also how like illnesses and things like that can really pull you from what your expectations are. Like I was supposed to be this, or time tells me I
Mhm.
have to do this, or things like that. And what does that mean when it, you know is that a real thing to live by? Or if it is only so much time, are we able to fulfill those things? And it kind of comes with some personal perspective for me, is like in the last few years, uh, I never thought I'd be making comics, like I never thought I'd be doing anything like that. And here I am, making an entire art book from basically the last couple years. And
Yeah.
I'll bring that up from my side real quick. Um,
Yeah. I'll let you show that right now.
let's see. So, whoop, wrong, wrong thing. Let me pull that back. All right. Let's see.
Let me
Let's see.
fix the screen
But
real
like,
quick so I can give you the.
there you go. But like with this book, it might flip. I don't know. But
Very good.
with this book, this I just made it. Just got in my mail yesterday. I'm very excited about it. But it's a personal story. It's about me. As a kid, what I always wanted to do was make comics, but I was kind of you know, told it was a bad decision to do. Like it's not something that you want to fulfill. I went to like an art program for like a summer session thing. I got like a scholarship from my art teacher in high school. She got me into this art program at the School of the Arts of North Carolina. And it was just 3 months, but it's like it was kind of an awakening for me. It's where I learned that I had a passion for filmmaking as well. But out of that passion came from deterrence of my art teacher, the drawing ones, tell me like, oh, comics is such a drab thing to want to do. Like, why would you want to do that? Why waste your energy on something on that medium? So this book is kind of a love. It's for me, it's a love letter to myself, because I state in the first section, I've never really had a sketchbook growing up. And I really was, when I was putting this together, I was thinking about, it's like, all my art is scattered everywhere. All my other art is gone forever because it was taken from me or thrown away or just lost to, the ether of time, right? So this is like the first time I would have a dedicated art sketchbook. And for people who, are interested in art or thinking that art is behind them, I want to be like, no, here's what I did. I turned 40 in 2 days. And here's what I did in my time during like, lockdown. I picked up an iPad, started watching, a bunch of YouTube videos that got me inspired, saying like, man, maybe comics is something that I could entertain again. And You can see like what types of art I was doing on my iPad. Kind of like here's my grandfather, a portrait I did of him in more of a digital painted style. My wife's grandmother on this side. But you can see like where I started developing my style and things like that throughout this whole thing. And that's kind of what this book's about. I want to be able to showcase, like, even though I don't think I'm worthy of this book yet, but this book means a lot to me because it's an evolution of here's what I'm capable of doing in such a short amount of time. And then like you get to the back section, I showcase all the other pages that I did that year, of last year. I want to be able to show, like, here's the comics. If you want to see all the work, here's a year's worth of comic making looks like, if you grind hard at it. So, I try to break down what I was thinking in those moments, how I put these pages together. And, I'm hoping people that are interested in art or wanted to get into comics, this might be a guidebook for them in some way, but also an inspirational look for people like, I know, maybe Cova, I know you're younger than me, but you probably didn't think you'd be doing this now in your age. So
Yeah, man, that is freaking fantastic, dude. That is actually awesome. I'm glad I
yeah,
got my copy. I'm ready to get it here.
yeah,
But
this one's yours.
oh, that's dope. That's crazy because like I do feel that. I mean, same thing, same story as you. Like COVID, got back into drawing, been going since then. And then I mean, I could do the same thing where I just like I have like in the last like year, 2 years, I've done like so many different comics. I've seen my art progress. I've gotten to that point of like you, where it's like I'm just going and going and going and like it's crazy because I never thought again like you would get back into doing that because making comics art was something I loved in middle school, and then
Yeah,
I moved on to like other things, and then now that I brought it came back to me, I'm so happy and grateful that I found that passion back in something that I really really love, because it is something that it drives me to every day, just like going to work and taking care of my family, making
yeah,
comics, doing this YouTube stuff is really like put my passion in something more positive and something that I can, hone into, and it has grown and grown, since like, meeting you, meeting Brian, all the other people in the group, like Devin and stuff like that inspire me to keep going, something that like, like the group that we're in is something that's super rare, I'm saying? Like people don't really get a chance to, meet those people, like be in those groups, find positive groups like that. And then like we take it a step further. We actually got to meet in person, I'm saying, Heroes Con. I
yeah,
actually got to meet Brian. I actually got to meet Vero, Deanna, and all these other people in actual person. It was like a real surreal experience where it's like, this isn't just for fun. This isn't just like a made up fantasy thing. This is real. Like we're actually like, doing something, and it's really, really cool. And even from your perspective, because there's a lot of people I feel like they feel like they might have aged out of these passions that are like supposed to be like childish or like, pipe dreams, but
right.
you're sticking with it, and you've gained more and more of a of a following and stuff like that. But let me switch my camera so we can start drawing. We can continue this
Yeah,
conversation. Yeah,
yeah.
doing
Let
that.
me get
But
my stuff and go ahead and switch over
yeah,
to there. Yeah, I mean, it's almost sometimes you feel like, this is a second chance in a way, if that makes sense. Being able to do all this stuff. So that's what makes it very exciting. It's like, yeah, I get that. I manage my time so I can work, and then I manage my time so I spend with my family, take care of the kids,
yeah,
drop them off, all that stuff. And then here I am at night, like right about now, I'd be drawing. So this isn't anything new. So it's like this is just the new normal, and I am grateful for all the time I have to do this, and I'm hoping, you know, that people will like the work that I'm putting out there. Tonight I'm going to work on another splash page. Hopefully I'll have done for Eddie P. Like I did at Heroes Con, I did kind of like a promotional piece. I kind of want to do something like that for this one as well for Virulent. So I'm going
mhm.
to do that tonight.
That's dope. I'm gonna work on some pages from AWOL, and then I actually did a pencil. I was watching Ink Pope that got inspired by one of his Jim's character side sketches up right before we got on shoot. So hopefully I'll be able to get to this.
Oh,
It's
sweet.
the little Muppet guy he has in there. So I'm gonna draw it for him and show him. Yeah. Yeah, it is cool though, man. I think this is really it's a fun thing to do. And I the same as you, like I'm a have kids and a wife, full-time job, and stuff like that. So I'm a night owl. You know, I stay up late and work on my passions. Where like doing these comics, or I'm editing a video, writing a script for either a comic or a video. Things like that. Um, I think it is really super cool. I mean, I was talking to Ian when I had him on, and I was telling him about how like um I had a conversation with a friend a couple years ago, about how whenever you get older, you kind of fall back into like the passions as a child, like the things you liked as a little kid. And
Hmm.
so I think that's just so true, because like when I was in middle school, 'cause he was like one of the friends that I was doing comics with. He does like
Hmm.
film and stuff like that. He's a freelance filmmaker now for like commercials and all this other stuff. But he helped me build my first website. And when we were talking doing that, he was telling me, like, we were talking about that, the idea of like, yeah, you kind of just fall back into the things you really loved as a child. So I think that's true for a lot of people, where like if they're able to, when they get to a point in their life, they will definitely get back into those things that they loved as a kid, that they couldn't afford, or didn't think they would be able to be, passionate about, or have the time to commit to doing that type of stuff.
Yeah. No, I definitely believe that. It's like we're in a different generation where the previous ones, they kind of had to, like, I'll say the word, quote unquote, grow up a little bit more.
Hmm.
Where, like, I watched, like, my grandfather after he retired, like, they just sit in chairs, like they didn't have anything else, like a purpose to move on from. And that was kind of sad, and I think that's why his decline came so quickly. But our generation, uh, I was reading an article talking about, like, how our generation is considered the forever kids, and I was like, okay, that's an interesting thought. It's like, well, why couldn't the previous ones do this? Well, some do, some don't, but it's like rediscovering passions. I guess at some point, some people convey that as a midlife crisis of some sort.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, well, I don't feel like I'm in a crisis. I'm more like I'm in a discovery.
Hmm.
Um, and that's the way I've been kind of looking at everything. It's like, am I becoming the person I wanted to be or not? Because if we only have so much time, I want to do something that makes me feel good. And, going to, doing the work, luckily I get to do something creative, but still doesn't hit that itch that you're going for. So it's like, I got to find that other thing, or I just won't feel like I had meaning, I guess you could say, if there is something. And I feel like I've always felt like I was a storyteller, because naturally I went into filmmaking, and I've directed some short films and stuff here and there, and I was mostly a camera operator and a cinematographer, then an editor. So it's like, I like telling stories, but it's still not telling the types of stories I really want to say.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think that the older generation definitely didn't get a chance to really do that.
Hmm.
Because maybe it was like the social stigma or stuff like that. I mean, in my family, I think a lot of people are really creative. Like my dad was a artist
Hmm.
for a certain degree of time, and then he evolved into become more of he found his passion like cooking and stuff like that. But even when I was little, I was growing up going to like art shows and exhibits and stuff like that all the time. He had a lot of artsy friends and stuff. So that was, I guess, like at the time I wasn't really into art, but then I guess it kind of like passively like fed into my growth as a person.
Hmm.
My mom was a big time. She was a English teacher and a reader, so I fell into that like
Oh,
side
that's
too.
nice.
I used to like reading and stuff a lot too. So I think both those things kind of rubbed off on me after a certain point, and then like once I was, I became an adult and was able to create my own stability and stuff like that. I was able to now fall back into things that I really like loved doing as a kid. Like even I still go play basketball now, even though I'm not like, it's not like I'm as trained as I was when I was in middle school, but I still go just because it's fun for me just to go, run up and down and see people play and stuff like that. And that's another thing I picked back up in the last couple of years. I was able to get back into watching, sports and making comics, stuff like that, and just really just like finding the time to make things entertaining whenever there's like you could fall into the trap of like things being so bleak and sad and depressing and stuff like that. Or you
Hmm.
can just hone in on things that you really love and then just kind of hold on to those tight and then like, figure out how to do those things better and stuff like that. I think that's another part of like me finding making the YouTube channel and stuff like that, I think is definitely like, I like to write also. So like me
Yeah.
making those video essays, I think's helped hone into something like that, where it's not just I'm writing, I'm also like learning like some of the topics that I talk about. I don't necessarily know everything about it. So when I do my research and stuff like that, I think it's cool when I find out about like new things and, you know, talking points of people, you know, or perspectives and stuff like that. Like I'm working on a video about my next video is going to be about like the erotic history of comics, like all like the quote unquote smut comics, like all like the sex comics and, you know, things like that, like the Penthouse, like there's things called the Tijuana Bibles, which were like bootleg comics. They were like X-rated bootleg comics of like Walt Disney characters and like stuff like that, doing crazy stuff. So this is funny looking at the research and even like finding out like I was looking at like right now I was writing my my part about like the Playboy magazines when they had their comics and like Penthouse and like finding out like all the artists that worked in there, like Shel Silverstein did some work in there, like the guy, you know, the writer for the Giving Tree, you know,
Hmm.
Roald Dahl, the Charlie and Chocolate
Oh
Factory
yeah.
guy wrote some essays in there, and I was like, this is crazy, like that these guys did all this stuff, but they're like popular, you know, children's books authors and creators and stuff like that. I think those are things you don't really know about, you know. So I just like
Yeah.
love that.
Well, I mean, it's like what they, you know, the running joke was always, well, I read it for the articles. I mean, it literally
Yeah.
was because there was good writers participating in that stuff. It wasn't like a Maxim magazine or anything like that, where it's just here's some, you know, attractive ladies, and we just got what guy to write for it. They actually had prolific people contributing to those, and you know, artists and writers. So it's like, yeah, yeah, it just happens to be in this book with nude women at the same time. But here's something really prolific if you want to read it. It's like kind of
Yeah.
interesting because I think, you know, the idea of Playboy, you know, for most people it would be like, oh, nude, but you know, it's trying to be a lifestyle, you know, back in the name, you know. So it's like, you know, intellectual, even gross out humor, whatever that meant. It was trying to capture something of that era, especially when it was being pioneered in the 50s and 60s. I definitely think he was onto something to be like something of influence. It just happened to have erotic stuff as well.
Yeah, for sure. It's funny. When I was doing research, Hugh Hefner's mom was like one of the early investors in the magazine also. So I think that's kind of funny too. I wonder what he like how he pitched it to her, or if she was just like down for the cause just because it's her son, you know.
Yeah,
Like,
you
yes,
never
this
know.
magazine, they got all these authors in here, and then she read it, was like, oh my god, what the hell? Like, but
Believe me, it's gonna be something. I mean,
yeah,
kind of crazy. I mean, it still exists in some type of format. So
yeah, it's an
uh,
annual now, just an annual digital magazine. It went from like I think it went from like, you know, monthly to quarterly to bi quarterly, some shit like that. Now it's just an annual thing. When I was looking it up, I was like, damn, well, it makes sense though, because I mean that medium is all digital ties now, and even, you know, that type of, you know, sex work and all that stuff is like way different than it was back in the day. So
yeah, eroticism, you know, especially with how everything is now digital, it's just like who picks up magazines? You know, it's kind of one of those things. Like I always hear this, and this is the thing that I think we have to fight against, even as people who likes traditional stuff. And I think it might swing back. It seems to be happening with other types of media, but it's like the thing was always like who reads.
mhm.
It's something like we always hear in the digital space, like no one reads anymore. And you're like, well, what are we writing for? Like, well, there's a digital aspect that we're having to do it for SEO purposes and things like that. And you're just like, well, that sounds really lame. So it's like everything gets so digitized, but I think everything eventually swings back to an organic thing that people are searching for. Like I was drawing digitally for so like at least 2 to 3 years, and then last year started drawing traditional just based on like someone invited me to you know, West Coast Dave. He invited me to an to participate with an online drawathon. I was like, I don't even have pens or pencils, man. I was like, I got to figure out how to do this because they were going to give away the piece as an auction piece, and so this is me like in at a year now, learning how to redraw in a traditional format. So it's been very interesting how to come back to this, and like I wouldn't have it any other way. So it's like, you know, I think the things that we, escapism into, oh, we like the idea of digital, but then how easy that is to all go away, or like streaming services and stuff like that. It's like, man, I can't watch that movie anymore. I wish I still had that DVD.
Yeah, no, that's a fact. Yeah. I'm in the same boat as you, man. Like, I don't know why I started drawing traditional. Oh, okay. So when I went to Heroes Con last year,
Hmm.
I just when I was there and I was seeing all the people's pages and all the original art, and I was like, yeah, there's no way I'm gonna keep doing digital work. Like I have to like see what it means, to really do this on paper and pen, how it really feels and stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, it's the same as you. It's like I don't know if I can go back. I mean, I do my
Yeah.
pencils in digital, but the inks is like where I kind of like strive and start messing around with different tools. And I have all these different like I have this whole thing of just like different tools and stuff that I try to mess with,
Hmm.
and just try different things. I have all these pens I just start picking up and just like, and then every time I see somebody else using a new tool, I'm like, oh, I want to try to use that. But at this point, I'm kind of like, all right, well, I'm gonna have to wait till I do my next comic to do that. So now
Hmm.
when I do a comic, I always test myself like I'm gonna try a different material to use. Like when I did Scrub and Tit for Tat, I used the Winsor Newton brushes, the Raphaels,
Hmm.
and I realized that like I don't like using them, not because they're like bad. They're honestly, one, they're pretty hard to use. Two, I'm super about efficiency, and it just takes too long to like get it all set up, and then you get to like clean the brushes after and all that. I'm just like, bro, I don't have time for this stuff. I don't have the emotional or mental capacity to like, I'm up all night till like midnight, sometimes 1, 2 in the morning. I'm like, I want to just go to bed now. I don't want to just freaking
Clean.
have to clean this brush and do all this extra shit. Like, forget that. Like, so
Yeah, I mean, it's the benefit of some of these brushes. Like, okay, so here's some things about me. I just started getting brushes. I get cheap shit. So here's the first thing. Sorry, I don't mean to curse. I don't want to mess
no,
up
you're
the
good, man.
algorithm. Uh, but I get cheap stuff to work with. I just bought these brushes and I've enjoyed using it. I bought, this big tub of ink. Um, I'm like, now I'm like, oh, well, this feels good. Like it feels nice to do this. Something that I just bought today or bought this week that I haven't used ever. Um, I got one of these. I got one of these guys. So I've
Oh
never
yeah, I got
used
one of those
this.
too.
So I'm gonna try out the dip pen, see how that goes. But yeah, I've been trying to find things that I like. I've been enjoying these pens, but they do wear out very quickly. So I feel like I
Mhm.
have to buy like a truckload of these now. But I do like, I love how it looks right at the start. And then the Pentel brush for black inks. But now, since I've been inking with the brushes, I'm like, well, I really like this. It does feel good. But I get what you mean, because sometimes I'm like, how long have I been doing this versus if I just did it how I was doing it like maybe 6 months ago. Uh,
Yeah.
it's like, it's like, is it faster? But does it say me? Like that's the part that I'm still trying to, like I said, I'm in a discovery mode of like, what does my final art look like? At least at this stage of who I am, and that's another reason why I kept drawing. Traditionally is when I talked to Daniel Warren Johnson when he came to Greensboro to do an event at Acme Comics in downtown.
Mhm.
Represent their that's my shop. He did an event there, and I talked to him for a little bit, and he's like, "Are you drawing traditionally or digital?" I was like, "Well, I'm kind of in between." He's like, "You need to try to." He's like, "Just draw traditional. You'll see your true self on the page."
Yeah.
And right when he told me that, I was like, "You know what? That's what I'm going to do from now on." Um, so I was like, "He's right," because my digital version looks different from my traditional on pen and pencil and paper. Um, like even he noticed like when he saw me at Heroes Con, I sent him something. I showed him something. He's like, your lines are thinner. I was like, yeah. I was like, he's like, you've been drawing more traditionally. I was like, yeah, I think that's where I'm leaning right now. He's like, all right. And then he told me to get it. He's like, I'm going to tell you, you should get the parallel pen to try out. I was like, oh. I've never used one of those before. He's like, try, see if you like it. I think you'll enjoy it. Now, I'm still getting used to that pen, but it
Yeah.
is it's a different thought process. I feel like I'm going to ruin the paper. It's very sharp. Uh, so it feels like I'm just going to dig into the paper and destroy it.
Yeah, I never seen nobody use that until the ink pulp started doing their lives.
Hmm.
And I saw Jim Mahfood use them, and I was like, well, that's pretty interesting. Then I saw because Daniel had he just started using them like within the last year or so. So I started seeing him doing. I was like, man, that's interesting. But what I've been mainly used, like my favorite thing I think I've discovered that's probably gonna stay with me is these Tombos. But I'm in the same park as you with the other the brush pen you showed is like
Hmm.
these things just they run out so fast, but luckily they're still cheap. So I'm able to buy like 8, 9, 10 for like $20 or less for now, you know.
Hmm.
I also just buy like cheap stuff too. I mean, I use like just regular toothbrushes. These are like the generic brushes for like Michaels, like
Yep.
their Art Soft or Art Loft, whatever brand. I mean I bought these watercolor brushes because my next comic I'm gonna do some ink wash. I was watching Wes Craig's YouTube channel.
Hmm.
After he was on Ink Pulp, they were talking about it, and I started watching his channel, and I realized that he does like his tones are like ink wash, this blue ink wash, and I was like,
Oh,
bro, that shit is so like it just
interesting.
looks like beautiful. So I was like, man, my next comic, I want to do that for my pages. I actually sent him the fan page drawing that I did, and he said that he's gonna put it in his book, the fan art. So hopefully
Oh, that's awesome.
that'd be pretty cool. And I think it's like in 2-3 months that issue that he says is gonna be in Kaya. So that was pretty hyped. I didn't expect that to happen, but so that was
That's
cool.
awesome.
So, but yeah, I've watched his channel and I literally like just watched it just to see how he was just doing it, and then he made a video talking about like his whole thought process. I mean, he's pretty much he uses it as a gray tone, but instead of actually using like black ink, he uses this like bluish color for some
Hmm.
reason. I guess because he just likes the way it looks on the page, and I like the way it looks. So I'm gonna try to mess around with that for my
That's
next
cool.
one shot I'm gonna do after I'm done with issue 4 of AWOL. And I was just like, bro, like I just like because I mean I've always been like I really like ink wash. Like Mateo Scalera from the Ink Pulp, his pages are all ink wash. I just think it just looks really dope.
Hmm.
So that's something
No,
I
I
really
mean,
want to get into.
that's what I want to experiment with more. I've done a little bit of it, and I was using like gray paint to do my washes. I would just dilute it
Oh well.
so I could build on top of that and just let the black ink that I had with the Pentel be the blacks, but then the rest would be like, lighter tones first, darker tones last. That way it looks like, there it is. Like that looks good. Like, so there's like a Ghostbuster piece, and then I did that magic demon queen version of her. So you'll see in the book that was that style. So I just took acrylic, diluted it. In fact, I think I have the paint right here. Yeah, there it is. I just diluted this craft paint.
Oh yeah, I have
Um,
some of that.
and just that's how I did my ink wash at the time because I didn't have like regular inks and I didn't want it that dark anyway because I was afraid I was worried that if I went too dark that it would ruin the piece. So I was
Mhm.
like, I just need this a little bit more diluted and soft without it being totally black diluted. Um, and I watched Danny Earl watch his ink washing and stuff like that. I'm like, that's impressive. And then I watched that the Wes Craig thing, like you mentioned on Ink Pulp Day a couple, I think it was like a month or so ago, and I was like,
Mhm.
man, he does really thick lines, and I was like, I want to try that. I've never done light lines like that um, traditionally because I was like, he uses a real chunky micron
Yeah,
uh, for
the
stuff, and
chisel tip.
I was like, that's interesting. So that's the part where I'm like, I'm still discovering what I like most. Like if I had my druthers, it would just be pencils.
Yeah.
Because I was telling Brian, I always tell him this joke is like artists have to be insane, or at least comic artists have to be insane because you have to draw the same thing like 4 times to really like what you want. So you're going from digital, then to maybe pencils, and then to maybe ink, and then then color or wash, and you're like, man, it would be cool if it was just all pencils sometimes. So I get why the allure of that job sounds pretty good.
Yeah,
but
no, for real. Yeah. You
but
just
that
keep it
seems that
simple, keep
seems
it pushing.
archaic.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, especially like I feel like a lot of the people coming up ink throwing stuff now, whereas
Hmm.
like back in the day it was delineated to more people, at least like in the mainstream. I don't know if
Yeah.
you know. I mean,
Oh,
people learn
sure.
how to ink and stuff. I mean, I don't like. I talked to some inker when I so my table this weekend. I was talking to all the pro artists there that were inkers. There's like one who's guy who's like a local. Like he probably lives like 20 minutes away from me. He actually worked like Marvel DC guy. Guy he doesn't work for them anymore, but um, and I was always found it fascinating how people end up falling into these little those jobs that aren't just like pencilers, like how people become colorists or inkers
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And then like each of them have their own different reasons. The two guys I talked to, one of them works for DC, the other one he used to work for Marvel. He does more independent stuff. Um, and the first guy, the independent guy, he just told me that he was just too slow penciling, and he just like he couldn't grasp the concept of like making his like the pages and stuff like that and doing the layouts and stuff like that was just too much for him. So
Hmm.
he just felt inking. He's a great inker. And then the other guy, he's still younger, so I think he eventually he probably transitioned into making his own stuff. But it was more or less the same thing, kind of like the layouts and trying to figure all that stuff. And for me, I mean, I never really like thought about it. I just thought, well, I need to ink my own pages, so I'm just gonna do it. And then I mean, I don't
Yeah.
really embellish very much right now. Like I don't hatch or anything like that. I kind of just keep it simple. I think I do most of my embellishing once I do my gray tones. But it was interesting just like talking to them and seeing, showing them my work. And I also find it's funny every time I show people like my art, there's always like there's like two different types of artists when they kind of give you the feedback. Either there's the, oh, just keep going, just keep drawing every day, da da da. And then there's three different ones. There's like the ones who kind of just keep it simple, like you just keep drawing, you'll figure it out. There's the like more analytical person, it's like, oh, just perspective, anatomy, just keep it like that. And then there's the more
Hmm.
methodical person who's like when I was talking to at Heroes Con, Brian Stelfreeze, and
Yes.
he kind of gave me this like rundown of kind of just like you need to figure out your shape language. Like you're a more cartoony guy, so figure out the type of shapes that you want to incorporate into your work, and and kind of gave me more of a different types of perspectives to give. And I mean, all of them always give me different perspectives. Like the inker that I talked to, he was just kind of like, you should get reference points that are outside of comics in order to incorporate into your comics. Like don't just look at comics to build off of. Like look at movies, listen to music, look at fine artists, look at other people, so you can kind of incorporate that into the pages you build and stuff like that. So I was like, man, I need to start doing that. So I was like, I've been thinking like, well, what movie directors I want to start looking at more, that I really enjoy the way they do their movies and how they lay everything out.
Yeah.
Listen to
That's great.
like my favorite albums that I grew up listening to that inspired me when I was younger, that I need to listen to see like what they did that kind of inspired me and stuff like that. And just things like that. I think, and then those are like the types of but when people just kind of give me the like, oh, anatomy and perspective is like, yeah, I understand that. That's just like basic, like like that.
Yeah.
I feel like those type of things, like I can study that all I want, but I think at the end of the day, those things just come with time, like
Right.
figuring out like your eye and how you know what I'm saying? Like I've learned my perspective more and more. I've done the studies and stuff like that. But I think the best thing, at least in my mind, is just keep drawing pages. I think that is definitely the best thing. No
Hmm.
matter how cliche and basic it sounds, like you just keep drawing. I think that is just the best thing. Like I can see even from like the first issue I drew of AWOL to this issue that I'm drawing now is like night and day. Just like my comfortability with the tools that I'm using, me drawing the characters, the way I'm setting up my pages and stuff like that.
Hmm.
It's definitely just that's why I do so many comics, is because it's just trial by fire at that time. You know what I'm saying? You kind of just keep going, you keep making pages, you just keep it pushing. I don't ever find none of my art super precious. I don't really put too much what's it called, like pressure on my drawing and stuff like that. Like I just kind of like, oh well, this is cool, and just keep going. And if this is like something I really don't like, I'll go back and redo it. But generally speaking, I'm
Sure.
just like keep going.
No, I get that. And like part of me is like, pushing myself like out of my comfort zones. Like, okay, um, draw more buildings because you don't like drawing buildings. Um, it's like I wish I could be like Eric Larson and just kind of every background's not a background. Uh, it's a great way to think about like stuff. But then I look at like other people and how they're doing, and I'm like, well, you got to show stuff. You got to make it feel believable and real. So when I'm looking at Toriyama stuff, I'm like, all right, so how's he showing this landscape? How's he doing this? How's he showing where people are in space of what we're looking at? And you thinking about those shorthands of like, okay, I get why he didn't want to have fights in cities.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, that's a lot more work. So it's like it's interesting to see like how to pull in your strengths. Like Toriyama's a great action artist, but maybe he hated doing land, like structural drawings. That's why his buildings have more rounded edges versus like lines, because he doesn't have to really think about perspective as much with when he doesn't have to worry about the angles of things. Um, so start thinking about that in your own work. You're like, well, how can I create my own shorthands? Like,
Mhm.
am I a really cartoony type of artist, or am I kind of like in between? Because I can do ultra realism if I wanted to, but I don't want to.
Yeah.
Mostly for speed purposes, but also like, is that who I am? I don't think so. And then like, well, do I want to be a super cartoony guy? I'm like, I don't think I'm comfortable in that. So I'm kind of like in this in between where, definitely have like a manga influence of stuff. Like I'm definitely into that stuff. So I'm like, well, I definitely like Shiro and Toriyama, and then I'll find a new one the next day, and you're like, oh, I'm wearing an Atomo shirt today. It's like, of course, I'm influenced by that stuff, and I'm still like, what's that voice though? Is this, one guy is like super about, landscapes. Like you take a Tomo, you're like, wow, like
Mhm.
look at all those buildings. Like, what did this take him? Or you look at Shiro and you're like, there's a happy medium in between here of him and Toriyama. It's like, yes, he has really defined buildings, but they're like simple structures. You're like,
Mhm.
huh. It's like, how did so he figured out the magic of being like, here's a cityscape with these high action sequences, but it doesn't feel like overly rendered like Akira or anything like that. So it's just trying to figure out like what's your shorthand, what you can distill from like masters at it, and then how you can like, make it your own. And as long as the language speaks comics and you're like, okay, this reads well, or like I feel like this is a good sequence. Like as long as that's working, I think you're okay. But there's a lot of people out there who will just be like, work on anatomy, work on that, and you're like, is that helpful at the end of the day? I don't know. Depends which type of comics you want to make, I guess.
Yeah, no, that's a fact. I mean, I always try to take like after I'm done with this comic, the next issue, I'm definitely gonna take like a month or so, just kind of refine some stuff, study some stuff, just for to kind of test what I'm at, But it's funny whenever we talk about influences, like you going back to the convention. I was talking to I wish I would remember his name, but one of the inkers, the one that worked for DC, and he was like, yeah, so who are some of your influences? I was like, yeah, I'm like Art Adams, and I like Ed McGuinness and all this other stuff. But I was like, I don't really draw like them though, and he was looking through like my portfolio, and because I gave him a copy of one of my comics that I had, and I had my portfolio, which was more of like all my pinup drawings that I did within the last year. And he was looking through it, he's like, yeah, you don't draw like any of them. I was like, yeah, I know, I don't
Thanks,
really
bro.
draw like them at all. Like I know I don't, like he's like, you don't he's like, I don't really see your influences really coming through at all. And I was like, yeah, I kind of like, I don't really know where I draw my drawing style comes from. I mean, he's definitely more manga-esque. But I don't really have like a reference point where I'm like, okay, my eyes look like this guy and my hands look like this guy. It's just kind of like I'm just kind of going for the feel of what I'm comfortable doing, and then
Yeah.
what I want to do. I'm saying same with Lou's. Like every time I draw a comic, I'm using a new tool. I'm making sure, okay, these panels I gotta make sure I draw backgrounds, or this I'm gonna draw this type of fight scene, or I'm gonna draw this the way I would do this talking scene. I'm gonna make sure I do this type of angle and stuff like that. But I was thinking like when he said that, I was thinking like, well, the next comic I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just blatantly just rip off of like Ed McGuinness for the next comic I'm gonna do, and just see how I can fare with doing that. Just like straight up, just seeing like everything all of his mannerisms in his art. I'm gonna just do that for my next comic, just to see
Uh-huh.
how that goes. Just my ultimate study of like, because Ed McGuinness is my favorite artist. Like, the only downside from his art is that he doesn't do anything outside of the superhero stuff, which is
Yeah.
fine because I'm like my stories right now are going to be action esque, so it's not that big of a deal right now. But like I love Ed McGuinness style. His art. He's like one of the first artists I discovered back in the day, and I just always loved his stuff. I think I have probably everything he's done, like interior wise, in
Okay.
my collection. Like, I mean, he doesn't have that much stuff, but he
Hmm.
definitely, outside of like, I mean, I don't have like all of his Deadpool stuff because that's so hard to find. But I got the trade of all the Deadpool stuff. I have all the Hulk stuff that he did, and all of his more recent stuff that he does. I just love the way he draws and stuff. I mean, he's definitely an Art Adams guy. Like you can tell, like him, Ryan Otley, or like definitely if you look at Art Adams and look at their stuff, you can see that's like the guy who kind of like influenced them the most because
Hmm.
they draw like a certain rendition of Art Adams. But so I have a lot of Art Adams stuff too. But so I'm gonna like when I do my next comic, I'm definitely gonna just like study the fuck out of those guys and just see how I can just do my own version of that for my next story. But I was thinking it's funny.
No, that's. I mean, the guy didn't see that you had Ed in your work.
Who?
The guy who was looking at your stuff when you said
Oh
like,
no,
yeah,
no, no. I don't
I
even
can
think I
see.
have Ed McGuinness because Ed McGuinness the way he draws is so big and round and it's like all he like fills up the page where I mean I don't know
I can see
honestly.
that in your work though.
Yeah, I mean
I can see
definitely
it. I can see it. You might not.
make me feel good,
You
man.
might not see it, but I can see it.
Yeah, I
But
mean I don't know.
I mean, there's. I think everything has like a tiny bit of influence, even if we don't see it totally. I mean,
Yeah,
um, like you know, I like the Hernandez bros, and sometimes I'm looking at my work, I'm like, that kind of looks like that, and
yeah,
um,
for sure.
and I'm like, huh. But then I've had other people say, "Oh, you look like this person or that person." I was like, "Huh, I didn't know that." Okay, and then I tried to go looking into them, and I'm like, "Oh, I can kind of see a little bit of that." Like when I went to this one convention, this one publisher was saying that, "Oh, your work reminds me of the guy who does Hellsing, the Japanese book," and then said a little bit like Paul Pope. And I was like, okay, like I've heard of that, I've heard of those titles, I've heard of that author, and I was like, okay, I could see that. Like, it's just interesting, like how there might be a similar language there, even if I hadn't even seen that artist's work or anything like that. Because
Yeah,
you know, like I tell people, like I love Toriyama, but you can't see Toriyama in my work. But maybe in the pacing of things you might, but that's about where I might have that influence. I would love to be as efficient as his storytelling, um, but his art style. I can draw like that if I wanted to, but it's like a different language. Like I see people draw like Goku and stuff, and it always looks like not like how Toriyama does. But for me, it's like there's certain characters have to be like on model, or it doesn't feel like them at all. And like Calvin and Hobbes is kind of like one of those, or the Peanut characters.
yeah,
Um, like if I don't see them like drawn like how Schultz did it, it just doesn't feel right to me. Um, but that's just a personal preference. I mean, I've seen other artists take it and go, I'm like, wow, that's wow. But to me, it's still like you'll see those jump tributes to like characters, and they'll get the artists of like other titles to kind of do them, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of good, or something's like, well, that's an interesting take. That's the way I kind of look at them.
yeah. It's funny. With like manga characters, especially like the popular ones.
Hmm.
I always found it weird when people draw it in their own style. I'm just like, yeah, just stop doing that. Like, I don't like
Yeah,
if you're
it's
not drawing
weird.
Goku with the on model eyes and then body and stuff like that. I'm just like, I don't know. That don't look like it to me. I don't know. But like with superhero comics, like you see them be drawn by so many other different people. It's like it doesn't really matter. So you just kind of find your
Right.
own person favorite rendition. But like if somebody draws Naruto in a realistic way, I'm just like, nah, that's not Naruto.
It's like, what is
Like, yeah, that's not
that?
what I don't do that anymore. Like, just draw them regular. It's just funny how that kind of happens. But I guess just because those characters are in, well, and are just we're just so used to them being certain type of way, looking certain type of way because that's how they are pretty much forever. You
Hmm.
know, and it's like same thing with like when I get into an anime, right? If I got into the anime like Dragon Ball Z, I started watching Dragon Ball Z in English. So now I can't watch it in Japanese. Like like it just doesn't sound right to me. It just, but like if I watch the anime in Japanese
Mm,
first, and then they have the dub version, like I can't do it because it just their Japanese voice is what I'm used to. You know, it's
yeah,
interesting.
that's interesting. Yeah, I was gonna say, are you a sub or dub person?
And I mean, I'm usually a sub, but now I have to do dub because I always watch stuff while I draw, and obviously
Mhm.
I don't know Japanese, so I can't like I have to watch it like that. Like that's why I don't really watch anime no more because I just don't have time to be sitting there watching stuff and you know like that. You know, I just can't do it. Like everything I watch is passively at this point. You know what I'm saying? Like all the movies, TV shows, YouTube videos. It's like something I have to watch while I'm doing something else because I just can't. I just don't do that anymore. I just that's not my thing. Just sitting there watching videos all the time unless I'm like I have nothing to do. But I don't. I just don't do that anymore. So
No.
I'm more of a manga guy at this point now. I read manga. I'll read a manga before I watch the anime. Like there's this new anime I just watched because I kept seeing people post about it. It's called I think the book's over there, but it's called Takopi's Original Sin, and it's like a dark anime, and it's about some like little girl who's like getting bullied crazy, and like this little alien comes and like tries to help her, and it just kind of like goes from there, and it
Hmm.
has like a super high score on IMDb or whatever for the first like I think the whole season I think is it's a short. It started off as a web comic on
Okay.
like Shonen Jump's like web comic thing,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it got super popular. It's really short, probably like 30 chapters maybe or less, and it's just like it's crazy. It's really good. I would recommend it, man. It's crazy. I read the manga though because I watched the first episode, the first two episodes. I was like, oh man, this is so good. But I was like, I don't have time to be watching this shit and waiting
yeah.
for it. So I bought the manga. It's like a big omnibus version because it's already like it was done. It's been done for I think 2 3 years already. So I picked it up and I read the manga in like 2 3 days, and then that's it. So I usually do that now. Like if there's a good series that I see, I'm just gonna read the manga up and not wait for the anime adaptation. Like Demon Slayer is still going on, but I finished Demon Slayer like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Chainsaw Man, I'm already caught up on it. It's not even on the second season yet, so people are still getting into that type of stuff. But I'm definitely a manga reader.
It's kind of crazy about how some of these shows either are super produced fast or they're so slow. And by the time you're like, is the audience even still there?
Yeah, it's there's been a interesting tie like pendulum swift in manga where I think this is the Demon Slayer effect where back in the day like it was continual like they were trying to keep those shows on forever so they would do like the filler arcs and stuff like that with
Hmm.
the original like big three manga anime and stuff and now I think once Demon Slayer came out and it had like the high quality animation and then they did the movie and stuff like that. And now they're doing everything in seasons instead of just continuing like doing that. Like My Hero Academia was one of the first anime I saw that had a season, like it was ended instead of like it just being continuing, just doing some random filler. So I just think they like a lot of these animation studios, in order to get the best quality animation, they rather just take time and just wait, and
Yeah.
maximize on profits and stuff like that, make people wait. And I think, and it also probably just like the benefit of just streaming platforms, where they have Crunchyroll, they have Hulu, they have, you know, whatever Prime and stuff like that. So they don't have to be on the like the mercy of these TV stations and stuff like that, And then manga, I mean, in anime is like 10 times more popular than it was even when I was in high school,
Yeah.
and middle school when I first discovered it. So now there's a need for it. Now the need even gets more greater when they're like, oh, we're gonna put this whole instead of making a season out of the story arc, we're gonna make a whole movie. Like Demon Slayer, literally like half their story arcs that were supposed to be like seasons are all movies now. Like the Mugen Train and all that stuff. They're making triple times the money they would have made just making it on a TV show and getting ad revenue and whatever. So it's interesting shift on in anime for sure.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Like, cause like when I was growing up, I mean, I saw some anime before Dragon Ball. Really, Dragon Ball was like a huge artifact of why it is what it is now. But it's like, you know, I think most original DBZ fans from the 98, 97 to 2000 era will remember watching it all the way up to Goku landing the Namek and then it starting right back over the next day to to Raditz showing up. and you're just
Oh man.
like, you did that for like you did that for like 2 years, and you're like, well, maybe this will be the the year we see where this story goes.
Yeah.
But it's kind of crazy because anime just I think Pokemon, Japan's work was just becoming more adopted over here. With maybe Akira and those manga DVDs with like Ghost in a Shell, things like that, Ninja Scroll. That was starting to be like, oh, anime is this hard edge thing, but then you start seeing like a little bit more populist type stuff. I think even the newspapers at some point were talking about Dragon Ball Z is like the new Simpsons for
Oh well.
America. Like they were comparing it that way, but it's too mature. Like that's the way they were still writing the context of the shows. Like I had an article somewhere my mom kept about it because it was funny. Because it's just a funny thing to think about. It's like yeah, it has mature themes and it's destruction and stuff like that. But then compare it to like some of the things you see now, you're like,
Yeah, it's not them.
yeah, it's lighthearted. It's got stakes, but it's like at the end of the day, everybody can be wished back somehow.
Yeah. Everybody's plot armor in that
Yeah.
show. So funny. I think it is interesting how popular manga has gotten from where it was to now in anime as well. It's definitely revolutionized a lot of different things in animation and stuff like that, and then even just that aesthetic has become like super popular. Like, what is that show? The movie that just came out on Netflix, the Demon
K-pop,
Hunters, whatever
Demon
the hell it
Hunter.
was. I didn't
Yeah,
really. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I didn't really care much for the movie. I watched it and I was like, oh, this is cool. I guess I can see the appeal because of the songs and stuff like that. But that alone wouldn't have been possible for the fact that anime is so pervasive in our spaces and stuff like that, and then the K-pop as well. So it's kind of like that mixture of like these like
trifecta.
Eastern Asian cultures that are like super ingrained in us, culturally, where um K-pop is super popular now. There's like these whole subgenre of people who really, really love that stuff. Which
Oh
I
yeah,
mean, I could see the appeal. I remember when that stuff first started coming out over here.
hmm
Like watching all the videos and music videos and stuff, and I was like, man, these are super high quality music videos. And these guys they kind of look a little funky, but I could see why little girls and people really like that. It's the aesthetic. They're bringing back like the early 2000s boy band look,
yeah,
but they're Asian, and so like it's so it's really interesting how that's like the thing. And then that movie just like he's like it tried the trifecta of just like, oh, we have these cool songs, the cool animations, kind of like these anime vibes, boy bands and all that stuff. So that like and it's crazy. Like it was a slow burn to get popular. It took a minute for people to catch on.
yeah.
Um,
It's kind of crazy because I was like, we watched it. So I grew up. Well, my wife is Asian. My children are, obviously half white, half Asian. So,
mhm.
I've been around the BTS eras and things like that of
Yeah,
like,
BTS. Yeah.
Blackpink and stuff taking off.
Mhm.
And watching it, I was like, okay, there's some high quality. I was like, there's some production value here. It's kind of got some MJ vibes. I'm into this. I'm like, all right. And then they, with them having to do their mandate military work, it's like, oh, there's been kind of a void. And then this movie kind of came out of nowhere. And like, I was like, oh, these songs kind of bop. I was like, these are pretty good. I was like, no, I'll put that on rotation. I'm like, okay. And my kids are listening to it now. I'm like, okay. Then I watched the movie finally, and my son already watched it a couple times because it has everything he likes. It has K-pop music and it has monsters. I was like, oh, perfect. And then when I watched it, I was like, oh, this is kind of cute and fun. And then now they're doing the live, like go watch it and sing along with it, and like the audiences are eating it up.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, it is
crazy.
funny. When I was at the show, there was a girl behind me, and she was telling me, I was talking to her about how everything was going for her and stuff like that, and she was like, yeah, after this I'm gonna go to a K-pop Demon Hunters sing along after the show. I
Yeah,
was like, oh wow, okay, I guess that's cool,
yeah, it's
interesting.
kind of crazy.
Yeah, literally the only reason I even watched the movie was because I was watching this video essay about like the idea of like lovers of what's it called, enemies turn lovers, and like that
Oh
trope
yeah,
in like shows. And I was like, well, in order for me to be able to watch this video, I gotta watch this damn movie. So I
Yeah.
watched the movie, and I was like, "Yeah, this is cool. I can see the appeal." Because I tried to watch it before, I couldn't get like I watched it the first 10 minutes. I was like, "Yeah, whatever. I don't care." And then I watched it all the way through. I mean, it's a pretty easy watch. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
really like. I was like passively watching. Like I said, I passively watch everything at this point. So I was like drawing and watching. I was like, "Oh, this is cool. I like the premise. It's pretty interesting." I can't
Yeah.
remember any of the songs. I'm gonna be honest with you, because I mean, I only watched it one time. I'm sure if I watch it a couple times, I
Yeah. Yeah.
probably
I've
get
seen it a
hooked.
couple times and listened to it enough at this point.
Yeah, that's how I'm with all the Disney shit. Like my kids, because my son's 4, my daughter's 2, so they're like way younger. So
Oh,
I
okay.
mean, they wouldn't watch that, but they will watch like Frozen and all the Pixar movies and stuff like that. My son likes Ninja Turtles and like dinosaurs, and lately they've been watching Dora, so they've been getting into that, speaking
Okay.
Spanglish.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so that's been fun. But yeah, I haven't really gotten to the Demon Slayer thing. I don't think, or Demon Hunter, K-pop Demon Hunter thing. I think I might miss this wave because I'm just like, I don't have a child that's gonna
Yeah.
make me watch this. Like I know all the Frozen songs. I don't even think I've even seen Frozen, like actually watched it, but I know all the songs. Like my kids will make me play that shit in the car, or they'll
Yeah.
freak out. Like I play my music, they're like, "No, it's our turn." Like, all right, man, whatever. But just so
I
it's
think
funny.
I saw Frozen after I think Frozen 2 was about to come out, so I was like, well, I guess I need to see Frozen 1. All I knew it from was the music or the
Mhm.
Let It Go song and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, well, let me see what this is about. And I was like, oh, okay. I mean, I get it. I was still trying to figure out like time frame when it was released. Me still thinking about my movie stuff. I was like, this is the biggest animated movie. Okay. I was like, it's very conventional. I can see why Disney went this route. It's not my favorite, but I get it. I understand why it did well. Uh, but it's just, I was like, it was still when Pixar was doing, uh, still kind of in their Toy Stories phase, I guess you could say, of animation. Now I like the stuff that they're doing right now, but I know a lot of people have feelings about it, whatever you want to call it, being
Yeah,
mouth
the
era.
Bean Mouth. It's
Yeah,
just stupid.
I personally love, like, it has some of my favorite stories. Like my son loves Luca. My daughter loved Turn in Red. Um, and like, what was we watched Elio recently, and I was like, this is a good movie. It's just they're smaller stories in scope compared to. Kind of interesting that to think about Toy Story being larger in life, but I guess it kind of felt like it. Maybe
Mhm.
because they're toys, so everything felt like, well, if they're gonna lose Andy, that's the end of their lives. That's why kind of 3 ends almost nearly on a dark note where they were ready to die in the trash can scene. And I was like, and me 15 years ago watching it, I'm the person in the theater saying, yes, do it, Pixar, teach these kids about death.
Oh, they already taught. They're like terrified a whole generation with Lion King. So I'm sure they probably were like, yeah, well, I think we're done with that. Well,
I know.
like
I was waiting for it though. I was sitting there at the edge of my seat. I was like, are they gonna kill the toys in this movie?
that would be crazy.
That would have been a wild
Yeah,
choice.
I like the new era of Pixar though. I'm the same with you. I like Turning Red. Turning Red was like when I first saw it, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
this is an interesting movie, and then the songs are really good in that one.
Yep.
I know that whole soundtrack because my kids fell in love with that one at one point earlier this year or sometime last year. Elio, I went to the theaters and watched that one. My son took him to go see it, and I fell asleep, so
Yep.
I got to rewatch it.
I can get that. Like I said, it's such a small movie. Even if they are going to an entirely different universe, it's such a small movie. But it, like, for my kids, they're like, for them, they see themselves in those characters and stuff, or
Mhm.
empathize with those types of characters. Like, well, that kid doesn't have parents anymore, stuff like that, and like how horrible that would be, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like a new age of, like, if the older ones were telling like more nostalgic type stories, which you look at something like The Incredibles, that's definitely got a retro style built into it, just aesthetically, but it's a throwback to, like, the Fantastic Four. Like it's still the best Fantastic Four movie we've gotten, even if it doesn't say it is. Um,
Yeah.
but we're still getting that type of level of like that type of films were made, like because a lot of those stories were written by guys who grew up in the 50s and 60s and were writing stuff that they knew. And now we're getting people that are in control that are our age or a little bit, younger or even older, just in our generation path, that are now telling these stories where they are taking on the things that we dealt with, and it's kind of nice to see how that story changes and how it affects other people versus it just being, they kind of got caught up for a while, after Up, of like, what if X had feelings a little bit, like even the best one is, what if feelings had feelings, for Inside Out.
Oh
uh,
yeah.
and you're like, yeah, I guess, I mean, I like that movie, but it's at some point you're like, I was craving something different and we're getting different, but I guess some people are like, it's either too different or whatever they want to say about it these days. Um, but I've enjoyed them. I think Luca, for my son, it really tapped into something for him about like finding friendship and like and stuff
Yeah, I
like
really like
that.
Luca. I like Luca a
Yeah,
lot.
and it looks really good. It reminded me of a Ghibli movie, a little bit, because I love uh, Kiki, uh, delivery service, and it feels like that in some way,
Hmm.
visually. So I was like, because it's like a coastal town and all these things. I'm like, oh man. And it literally is like she's like kind of a fish out of water, and this movie's literally about a fish out of water. Uh, so it had all those things going for it. So I was like, man, let's just tap that itch, for that type of movie. And then you have something like Turning Red, and it's just like it's like hitting so many different things in there, like growing up, becoming a woman, finding people attractive, becoming a literal monster, kaiju scenes, 90s throwback, boy band music.
Yeah.
It had everything. And then like also like if you're Canadian, you get another layer of like just growing up in Canada, Canadian cities, like what's it like? Uh, so I love that they're telling these more personal stories that way. And I hope they continue doing it, but I know it can be hard when the box office results don't match expectations.
Yeah, that it is weird though. Disney is like weird in general. Like they own every single IP, and it's like people will say, "Oh, this is a flop," but then
Hmm.
the movie they put out, you don't even know it's a Disney movie, and it'll make $1 billion. Like, oh, that's part of a Disney, umbrella, something like that, or like they'll do like something like Aliens Earth, which is
Yeah,
freaking fantastic, or then the Predators, like what they're doing with that stuff is really good. Like the Predators Badland, I feel like is gonna be really, really good. Alien Earth,
yeah,
I've been paying attention. I literally just watched the new episode earlier today. That was really, really dope. And then like the animation stuff, I feel like a lot of like right now, Danny was in the comments saying that like the new stuff might not reach the heights of the old Pixar stuff. Like when the older stuff came out, those were like the movies of the year.
hmm,
Where I would say a lot of the new stuff came out during COVID, and a lot of the stuff that could have been really good got put straight on Disney Plus to like bolster up the streaming
the
platform. Like
service.
Soul, Soul is
Hmm.
really, really good. I don't know how it would have did in box office. I mean, it might have been good, it might not have been. I have no idea. But that movie was really fantastic. And Luca, I think, was straight to Disney Plus as
Yep,
well. That movie was really, really good. Is Moana Pixar? Or is that like a Disney? I think it's
that
Pixar,
is
right?
that's Disney, Moana.
But like I know that like they have like their two different animation studios.
Yeah, that's
So
pure. That's pure Disney
pure
though.
Disney, right? So is
Yeah.
Frozen and stuff like that, right? So okay, that's not
Hmm.
Pixar. But I mean, yeah, Pixar's weird, and then now they're about to like do another like Toy Story. I don't know why they keep, I mean, obviously I know why because of the money and stuff, but it's like they should have just ended it at 3 because that would have been the perfect ending. But I guess as long as that that milk is still coming in, they're gonna milk it. Like
Right.
cow
Yeah.
still rolling.
Yeah. I mean,
So
I know. I know. Yeah, Toy Story 3 is a perfect ending to that whole thing. I didn't mind 4. I liked it
yeah,
because
4 is cool.
it feels like an epilogue, and I was like, I'm kind of chill with this because it's not about Andy. So I was kind of like, okay, it's more about like Woody's, trying to find his ending, and I kind of liked that. Now we're getting like, I guess, Buzz and how technology is. So it feels like it's going to be Toy Story 1 in a way again, where I
Oh yeah,
guess
with the iPads and stuff. Yeah, I forgot I was saying
right,
that.
yeah, tech's going to be the problem to deal with. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm sure there's something there, because I was like, well, Forky ended up being really awesome in part 4.
Mhm.
So I was like, maybe they'll give me something. And also Key and Peele being in part 4 also made it really fun.
Yeah.
um you get what I'm saying? So like, I know a lot of people dismiss 4, but man, 4 is actually really a solid movie. It's just it came after an already perfect ending, so it's like I hate that it kind of gets dismissed as like, it's almost like categorized as not good, but it's not that it's not good. It's just, how do you come after something that was already perfect?
Yeah, it seems to be like unnecessary.
Right. It's
Essentially, it's
just
like what people
unnecessary.
made it seem. And it was good. I saw it, and I mean I thought it was pretty cool. I think I don't remember when I saw it. I definitely didn't go see it in theaters, but I probably saw it like on streamers. I mean, my kids seen it a bunch of times, so
Yeah, you've probably
whatever.
seen it more there. Yeah.
But
I
you
I
know,
will say, I remember the first year I was a or no, it was the year I became a dad in 2015. There was a Pixar movie that came out called The Good Dinosaur. Have you ever seen that one?
oh
Okay.
yeah, that was my son's freaking favorite when he was like 1, 2. But we had to stop showing him it because he kept freaking acting like the little boy, like
Oh
acting all
gosh.
rabid and stuff. Like, yeah, we can't show him this movie no more because he's acting all nuts and stuff. But yeah, that movie was slept on. That was another one that kind of got a
Yeah.
bad rap because nobody watched it. But that movie's fire.
So
Anyways, continue.
that movie came out, right, and I was like, oh, I've heard, we just got it on Blu-ray, and I was like, well, I'll watch it, and I didn't realize I got it on Father's Day weekend,
Oh
and
yeah,
it's like the worst movie to watch for Father's Day because it's about literally losing your dad. I was like, oh
yeah,
God.
yeah.
I
That's
was
like
like,
that's a super dope movie. It's like a dinosaur western movie, like trying to
yeah,
get back home and stuff. And I remember, like, 'cause it was one of the movies that kind of came and went, and kind of just like I think it's gonna be the same thing as Elio, where it's like these are
yeah.
good movies, just nobody watched them for some reason or another, depending on the circumstance. I don't remember what year when you said 2015. So yeah, I remember when it came out, or I remember seeing it back then, but I never watched it. And then my wife just happened to show it to my son. He really liked because obviously he likes dinosaurs. And I remember I watched it all the way through, and I was like, this movie is really, really good. Like, what the hell? Like, I did not know his parents died the first, like, act, and then he's going on this whole adventure of trying to become a brave dinosaur and become this competent kid and all this other stuff and trying to get back to his family and da da da. I was like, man, this is a great movie. Like, what the heck?
Oh, it's incredible storytelling what it's doing. Like, you feel that's a movie with like terrible stakes because it is they lens it like a John Ford film where it's like, boy wants to grow up to be his own man, loses his father, but then he has to grow up by helping another, and then he has to get home because their suffering is what kills me the most, because like they needed their dad and they don't have him, and you're just like, oh my God, they're like farmers, and then next thing you know, you get T-Rexes that are like Lone Ranger type style. Like, I love how they made them look like they gallop, like they
Yeah, yeah,
animated the. I was like, they're horses. I was like, this is a western. It's
yeah.
like,
That is what made me think of it as a western. Also, when they're like doing the campfire scene and telling the stories and all the other stuff. But like, oh man, this is a great movie. Like, oh my gosh.
and it just got completely. And I know there was like production problems making that movie, and I think Elio even had production problems from what I gather. But then, like, I really liked that. We liked my kids really liked Elemental. There were some cool, visuals with that, and
Oh yeah, that was another good one too. Yeah, with the fire and stuff like that one was really good
right,
too. Yeah,
this
but
is
there was like
cool,
those were all the COVID movies. Like all those movies got kind of screwed over during COVID, and like
right.
it's funny because like uh I was talking like to like coworkers and friends now. I was like, man, all the movies that are out now are like really really good. Like all the movies are coming out in theaters, like all the horror movies, the big
Hmm.
blockbuster movies. And I was like, well, I was thinking is like, well, the movies that came out the last like 3 or 4 years are all post COVID movies. Like they're literally movies that were made during COVID or like
Hmm.
had to be held. So like a lot of them were kind of messed up during that time. Like like that Ice Cube movie that just came out. They literally filmed it during COVID. So like they said, like I didn't watch it, but I was hearing people talk about like they couldn't be in the same. None of the actors could be in the same scenes at the same time. So like
Yeah.
everybody's just isolated each part and stuff like that. So I was like, dang, that's interesting. Like because you look at all the movies now are like super good. Like in the beginning of the year, we started off with like Sinners. That movie was freaking fantastic. And it
Yes.
just like it just was progressively all the movies and shows that have been coming out, at least from what I've been watching, have been getting better and better. Like I still like I have so many things I want to go see. I still need to go see Weapons. I
Yeah.
want to go see Him that's about to come out. All the
Mhm.
shows that are out. I mean, even the superhero I think we got like some of the best superhero movies this year that we've gotten in a long time. Like Thunderbolts was really good, Fantastic Four is really good, and Superman. All three of those movies were like to me were like really really good superhero movies. You know, so I think it's crazy that people don't really even take that into account. Like
So
that's
what?
why you know.
Yeah. So I want to talk to you about that. I haven't been able to watch those movies yet because I've just
So
been so busy. And I was like, man, now I'm just gonna have to wait for them to come out. The
mhm.
only movies I got to see this summer were like, ones that my kids wanted to see. Because my kids, I don't know about your kids, but my kids really haven't found, like, besides Batman and Spider-Man and Black Panther, my kids don't really have an interest in the superhero stuff. Um, so for them, it's just like I was like, "Hey, you want to go see Superman?" They're like, "Eh." I was like, "Oh, okay." Um, so I was like, "Well, I guess I'll have to catch it sometime." But I did get to see Weapons. So my thought with you, you know, I know that these movies are of quality, and I know the online discourse will try to sway everyone, but the loud 10% of people will try to tell you that everything is bad these days. But um, I just Superman looks so fun,
Oh man,
and
yeah, I freaking love Superman. Superman was really really good. I just love that. Like, I love the worldliness of it, where it's not just we got all these other characters, not just Superman, and they're like with Mr. Terrific, Hawk Girl, Green Lantern. Um, we like passively get a scene with like Peacemaker in there for some reason. We get like all this other stuff going on. Lex Luthor was perfect in my mind. Like, it was a really good Superman movie,
good
but
cast.
yeah, it was a great casting. All of it's really good. I really really enjoyed it. I walked out of it like, man, this is a really great movie. But then when I watched the Fantastic Four, I just fell in love with Fantastic Four for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I'm just like I'm biased to Marvel and stuff like that. I love Pedro Pascal and the whole thing. Like that movie, I walked out of, and I was like, I need to go see this again immediately. And I did. Like 2 weeks later, I wanted to go see it twice because I was like, this movie's really really good. I don't know why. It's just obviously like, I'm a Marvel person, so it's just like this is just a great movie. I love the aesthetic of everything. Um, Galactus was dope. I loved the Silver Surfer and actually like the way they had her in there and the way they portrayed her and her
She's so
her
good
powers
anyway.
and stuff was just really really good. So I just was like, this is great movies, you know. It was like it's just so many good movies coming out, and it's just hard to like find time to see them. Like I have to like really pace it out because I don't want to because I can't take my kids to see every movie. Like they have to be kid movies or they're gonna like not sit there. Like I would have loved to show my son to see Superman, but there's a lot of points in the movie where it's not just like fighting and monsters, where they're just like the characters are having conversations and talking and a lot of banter going back and forth. That's something my son would really enjoy. Like he wants to
Yeah,
see. He's 4, so obviously 4-year-olds they want to see crazy stuff or whatever. Or he's
yeah,
not gonna sit around. Like once he runs out of like snacks to eat, he's over it. Unless it's
yeah,
something
yeah,
he's really
yeah.
really into. Like I showed him to see Elio and I fell asleep. I woke up, he was still there. So like he had a good time.
That's
Um,
good.
I took him. I mean, I've been taking him to see movies since he was like 2. So like I
Yeah,
took him to
same
see
with
Spider
mine.
Verse when that came out. And he made it through. He made almost through all of it until like the very end. I had to walk out, but it was already over. So like I'm not too mad. We got to see the most of the
Yeah.
movie. What else I've taken to see? Some Pixar movies here and there, Disney movies and stuff like that. Before Elio, I took him to see Lilo and Stitch, because he's like a big Lilo and Stitch fan right
Hmm.
now. So he liked that movie. He thought it was pretty cool. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah, my kids like
there's
the.
just so many good movies coming out.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like you know, I don't think there's. So people want to talk about like fatigue and stuff. I think the audience is just becoming more. Well, historical data will show us like the audience has grown up. First of all, right?
Yeah.
So if you were 10 when you watched Iron Man, you're now in your 30s. So, you know, Are you craving the same thing? No, you probably watched Deadpool versus Wolverine or whatever, and you really enjoyed that. But you might be looking for something else, not wanting to be so in that space anymore, or like, oh, okay, this feels too familiar, or I want something else to crave that point, because I
Mhm.
was looking at some data, I was like, well, how does this compare to Westerns of the 60s and stuff like that, and the 50s and 60s? Because that was the biggest genre ever through like the 40s through the 60s. And then it just dropped off the face of the earth, mostly because sci-fi movies became more prevalent, and that became like, we started getting things like 2001. We started getting Planet
Star
of the
Wars.
Apes, stuff like that, and like it
Yeah.
was a new way to tell those stories with not just in a B story, like an old monster movie, but more like pathetic. Like, oh, there's like you've mentioned it already. I Am Legend or the Omega Man of the '70s. Like you're telling like big stories with sci-fi, so that's why like that genre like slowly petered out. Now, will hero movies have the same decline? There's similar decline, but it's at a smaller rate,
Mhm.
but it's similar. It's like, well, yeah, because the people that watched westerns through the 40s through the 60s were now getting jobs and doing other things, having families. They didn't have time to go to the cinema or sit around their television to watch a western. Like you grew up a little bit,
Yeah.
and you hope the audience sticks with it. But like, you know things that we grew up with, like Star Wars and stuff, I'm like, my son thinks Darth Vader's cool, but that's it. Like he hasn't, like, I'm like, hey, you want to watch this movie? He's like, yeah. It feels, I don't know if it's archaic or what. It's just not what they're into, because now they have like all these other things like Minecraft and Roblox, and everything is so spread out. Like you can have, like, everyone in the world watched Star Wars, but now you don't have to.
Yeah, you have the ability to wait, and it's not going anywhere. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't have. It's not
Yeah,
like you have to wait like 2 years for it to come on TV. It's like give it like 4 or 5
instantaneous.
months. It'll go on streaming platform. Unless it's like a really really successful movie, like for example like the Spider-Verse movie. It took like a year or so for it to get on streaming platforms because it was just doing that good.
Hmm.
But with those like outside of those outliers, a lot of the times you can just wait. You're right. Like I'm one of those kids who grew up like my assault Iron Man. I was like in I don't know when Iron Man came out 2008, 2007, it's
Yeah.
like third, fourth grade when that first came out. So
Yes.
like I remember seeing that and then I was like, oh, this is cool. And then I really liked it. And then I started getting the Marvel. So it kind of like grew together. And then the movies,
Hmm.
kept coming out. I just kept enjoying it and stuff like that. And then I mean, I'm a hardcore fan, so I'm going to see all the movies regardless, even if they're
Yeah.
like people say they're bad. I'm gonna go see them because I want to get my own opinion on them.
Hmm.
But that's just me. I mean, obviously other people just grew out of it and they're like, oh, whatever, I
Yeah.
don't care no more or whatever. The same thing happened with Star Wars, and
Yes.
those IPs. But I don't think those IPs are staples in like American culture. Not even just like those are staples. Like Goku is never gonna go anywhere.
Yeah.
Superman's never gonna go nowhere. Batman, those are gonna be here forever. Like they've been
Right.
here forever. They're gonna stay here forever. They're not gonna go anywhere. There's so much money invested in, so much money that can be made off of them.
Yep.
It's just a matter of timing, and like when and where. You know, what I'm saying like the cycle repeats and stuff like that. And I think movies are just gonna stay here because those are essentially the driving force of Hollywood. Like you
Yeah.
can't tell me, Marvel Studios, Disney Studios is still not eating off of Endgame or Black Panther or Sony's not eating off of Spider-Man, still, or those Miles Morales movies and stuff. Like those movies made billions of dollars. I'm sure though the profits that they made from those movies funded the other movies. So it's not like they're
Hmm.
not losing any money. They're just like it may seem like that, but like I don't know. Like I don't know really
Yeah.
like all the big Hollywood, stuff in the margins. It looks bad, like if they don't make the money they're supposed to, but not everything is supposed to go platinum. Not everything's supposed to be like great, especially when you're
Yeah.
trying to introduce like new characters, new concepts, or and stuff like that. I don't know about hero fatigue. I think there's like a lot of during like COVID and or during all that time, there was a lot of just like people just hyper focusing on the wrong things.
Right.
And I feel like that publicity, all that stuff
Hmm.
kind of hurt in a way, and then some of those movies weren't the best. But for me, I mean, I'm not a big like you have like I always say you have to try hard to make the movie be shitty to me. Like I'm
Yeah.
definitely an easy entertained guy. You know, say like some of my favorite movies are like movies that have like really low ratings on like Rotten Tomatoes and stuff like that. But they're like you know, A Haunted House, but with Marlon Wayans.
Yeah.
Like that movie's like one of my favorite movies of all time. I don't know why. It's just so funny. It like his performance is so great. You know what I'm saying? Like the whole genre of like those movies that the Wayans family created with the spoof comic movies. Like those are
Yeah.
just so funny to me.
You're gonna
And
be excited about the new scary movie 6, I
yeah,
guess.
I'm gonna go see it. Hopefully it's pretty good. I'm sure it's gonna be hella corny, but I'm still gonna go see it because I know it's gonna be like just you know that stupid crude humor.
Well, I'm glad
Or
he got both Regina and uh and
Anna
Anna,
Faris or something.
yeah,
Anna Faris.
back for
Yeah.
it. So I'm already looking forward to it now. And then like I wanted to go see The Naked Gun. That apparently is pretty good. I'm like,
Oh yeah.
I
I
was
gotta
like,
see that
dang
too.
man. So like for me, I'm like, I feel good about like what's coming out. It's just I think everything's so niche these days. Like you can have,
Mm-hmm.
you can like it's like with streaming. Everyone's like, hey, did you see this? I'm like, nah, I didn't watch that.
Yeah.
What's that on? Like
Yeah.
like like it used to be like what we call water cooler uh talk. Like everyone watched Seinfeld because everyone only had like 20 channels, and yeah, we watched it and it was prolific, so people watched it and they all talked about it the next day. Same thing with like when Twin Peaks was popping, everyone knew about Twin Peaks. There was even like a movement, people were wearing t-shirts with like who killed Laura Palmer and all these other things. I mean, now we don't have those. We see it like through like these articles and stuff like, hey, this is an amazing show, you should check it out. And it's like, yeah, you don't have to because I'm watching this other show that no one else is watching. It's like I haven't seen Severance, but I know it's
Oh
apparently amazing.
yeah, it's a great show. I watched it. I binge watched it like 2-3 months ago. So my mom was like, I was like, Mom, you gotta watch it. And she started watching it, and I was like, yeah, it's great. But yeah, that is definitely like everything is definitely niche and nuanced now. Like everything's like it's more spread apart. There's
Hmm.
no what's it called? Time what's the word? Like not prime time television, but like must see television anymore. Like
Yeah.
you can just wait. You know, so I think I caught the last tailwind of that with Game of Thrones. I
Hmm.
was really big into Game of Thrones. I was just like super like initiated in that. Like I was watching all like the fan theories and all that stuff back in the day. Like I just happened to watch it. I think my dad had a like trial for HBO or whatever Showtime whenever it came on. So I like binged watched it all the way up to like whatever season it was. I forgot, but I binged watched all of it. I was like, dude, this show is so freaking good. So I watched all of it and I was watching all the YouTube channels and deep into all the lore and stuff like that. And the last thing came and I was like, oh, this is not that great. And then I haven't watched any, House of Dragons or stuff like that because I kind of just like waned off of it.
Hmm.
But yeah, you're right. It's definitely like you pick your poison of what you want to watch and what you want to give your time to, because it's just like there's so much stuff coming out. So it's
Yeah.
like fucking hard to keep up with what to watch. Like even with anime, like there's so many new animes coming out. I'm like, bro, there's no way. And then there's like the stuff that's coming from China and the Korea and all that stuff that people are trying to push. And I'm just like, bro, I can't. Like there's a movie that just came out in theaters that did like super crazy in China.
Yeah.
And they brought it over here and it didn't do nothing because obviously the markets are so different.
Wrong
And I
market.
don't yeah, it's in like yeah, it might have been like the best selling movie in China, but like I don't know who like I'm sure it probably is a good movie, but I'm not watching that. Like I don't even know what that is. Like
And
it's
it's a
not
part two. I was like,
is
well,
it
now
was
they
it?
got to watch part one.
Oh man, I did not know that. See, I didn't know anything about that. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I've been getting the ads for it. It's like, man, that movie must be pretty baller. Uh,
yeah,
I was like, but I was like, well, I gotta see part one. Where can I get that? Yeah, I've been seeing that ad, and I'm like, man, that's cool. I mean, I'm happy that things can like grow that way. Like my kids, my daughter, she loves Stranger Things to pieces, and she'll ask me stuff like, "Is Stranger Things not popular, Dad?" I was like, "No, it was really really popular, and
yeah,
I think
it
it still
was.
is popular with some people,
It
but it's
like it
changed."
definitely lost its mark. I was definitely on the early Stranger Things wave when it first came out, like the first 3 seasons, and then it
Hmm.
took like that long break, and then it kind of like it came back, and it kind of had the momentum, but I think it kind of definitely lost it. Like I think what threw it off is that the kids started getting older, like really fast. You saw it on camera, and you kind of just got it weird. And then like you start seeing all the actors in that show and other things, you're just kind of like, oh, it kind of just lost this. I think it just took too long. They shouldn't. I mean, obviously they didn't have a choice because of COVID and all that stuff. Like again, COVID, like really, like people. I feel like people really try to like memory hold the effects that those 2-3 years had on like society as a whole, and then they just try to like omit that history and just try like, well, why is Hollywood so shitty now? Why is that? And it's like, bro, like, do you not remember that we couldn't do anything for like like a year? Like we were stuck in the house. Like, do you guys not remember that we like this doesn't just affect like random, like these affected all these businesses and stuff like that too. Like these actors, these like, you know what I'm saying? Like you wonder why Hollywood is the way that people really try to ignore. Like you know why these movie studios and these movie theaters are like giving us all these crazy looking merchandises because they need to make their money back because they lost all that money during those 2-3 years where nobody was going to the movies and like you know, people are writing all these shitty scripts and, you know, all these, you know, all this stuff. So it's just like, it's so funny. But like a lot of these shows that kind of like fell off, or these movies that were like not as good as they could have been, is because of that stuff, you know?
Yeah, it's kind of like, it's kind of crazy, like to see what was made during that time period. Like some people were doing some really creative stuff, and then other stuff felt like completely flat. Or then you get the huge delays. Like I think one of the biggest movies that we knew got delayed the most was like the Batman. It was like, oh man, we gotta wait like a whole nother 6-7 months for it to get released, and then you're like,
Oh yeah.
and then it came out, and I was like, oh, it was worth it though. Like you're just like, oh okay.
I think that
People
was the first
rewrite
movie
history.
I saw when the theaters. I think that was like the thing they were like, we're not putting on streaming platforms, so they like waited till everything opened back up.
Yeah, I remember I was wearing a mask watching it.
For real?
Yeah, man, I was in the theater
was
because I was in an IMAX and everyone's, it was like over 200 people in that room. I was like, I can't chance it.
I feel that, yeah.
But I was like, I was in for that 3-hour ride.
That movie was freaking amazing, dude. I fucking love that movie. I got to rewatch it. I was trying to watch it. Like my coworkers were telling me to watch Penguin. I was trying to watch. I watched the first couple episodes. I was like, it's cool. It's just like a mobster show though. But I was like, it's cool. I gotta finish it though, just because they were saying it's really good.
Yeah, I hadn't watched it yet either. I'll probably end up watching it before the next movie comes out, just cause it's kind of how I am. If I hadn't watched it yet, I'll watch it when it releases with something else. My kids, and then my daughter also liked, well, the world did too, like cultural touch points, like that first season of Squid Games, right?
Oh so, yeah, same. Yeah, I fucking love
everyone. That was probably like the big last, like everyone watched this thing together, and it was cool. And then season 2 and 3 came out, and I was like, yeah, it's about what I expected.
I didn't even think about watching that shit.
I didn't mind it, but it did fall into the problem of like the first one. If it cut 15 seconds off the ending, it might have been a perfect ending to a series, but it held on to it just long enough for him to turn around to be like, oh, they're gonna have another season. But if it ended with him standing at the airport door debating if he goes back or not, I was like, that would have been amazing. Like it's something like that, but they were like, well, we gotta have him go back. And you're like, and it was fine. I liked season 2. Season 3 felt like it was fell into place too quickly, because apparently they've built an entire Kevin Feige level universe apparently coming for Squid Games.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, so there's gonna be like Squid Games USA, like
that makes sense though.
Squid Games 86, so it's gonna go through different like time periods, and then like at the end of season 3, spoiler alert, I guess Kate Blanchett is in it, so it's like, okay, all right.
Yeah, so, I mean, it was bound to have that show went freaking bonkers, man, and I'm sure they made a lot of money, and so it was bound to happen. The studios were going to like maximize the what they could get out of it, milk it,
Yeah. It's just sometimes things are so good in a bottle. It's like I get trying to chase it, but I'm almost like, well, what else does this guy got? Like, if he worked 10 years to make the first one good, I don't know if I want to see what he can, like I want to see like something else by him versus the same thing.
Yeah,
But that
like
was the
repeat
same
story.
problem. That was the same problem with the Duffer Brothers and uh, Stranger Things. My hope was each season would be like an anthology series,
Hmm.
and new characters, new stories, but all in this universe. Um, like someone else may be experiencing something from the Upside Down, but not the Demogorgon or anything like that. I thought that would have been interesting. Like, say you take season 4 premise, but you take it to somewhere else completely, and
Hmm.
they're getting and all that stuff. That might have been something unique and different, but they held themselves with this like we got to follow where these characters go because they're super popular, uh, or what the movie market says, toyification. Uh, we can we can make these kids spirit Halloween costumes. You know,
Hmm.
um, it becomes all about marketing versus telling a good story.
Yeah, I think once like these like creators who make those type of like those super popular mediums, they have like a decision to either like maximize profits or maximize their power to keep their creative integrity. And
Mm-hmm.
it really just kind of goes between what they want to do and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like a good example of somebody who kind of who maximized their like creative integrity would be like the guys who made Avatar: The Last Airbender,
Mm-hmm.
where they kept that really tight, especially like the animated stuff, really tight to themselves, and they're not bending and folding for anybody to do anything like to rush to do anything that they're not comfortable with. And so I think they've been able to keep their fan base, keep the quality of their stuff. Obviously, they had like the M Night Shyamalan movies, which I think is what prompted them to keep the integrity of the second. Those movies were freaking horrible. That movie was horrible. I went to the theaters to saw that shit and everything. I was like, bro, what the hell is this movie? And I wasn't even like an Avatar fan at the time. I was just like, these are just bad movies. This is a bad movie. This isn't making any sense. And I was like in middle school when I saw that. I was like, this is not a good movie at all. But like with Korra, they kept that on. Even though like if you know the history behind how they kind of did Korra, they kind of screwed them a little bit with how they like the very end of the series, they kind of like shelved it to a degree,
Mm-hmm.
and they were trying to like use it as a way for people to go to the Nickelodeon website to watch shows.
Ah,
So kind of like they like mess up like the show times and all this other stuff at the very end and all this stuff, blah blah. I mean, I like Korra. Avatar is really good, and now I don't even think they were like on to like the live action, so I don't think they really were on board with it because they didn't really like it. But Netflix was just like, well, we already bought the rights to it, so they kind of just were had to keep doing it.
do
But
it
in
with.
general, I feel like like compared to like we look at Star Wars, where everybody always talks about the sequel series, but nobody wants to look at the prequel series, which everybody hated on it. People try to memory hold that also, where like everybody hated the Phantom Menace and
Mm-hmm.
all those other movies. Like people act like those movies are like the glory now. When you look at a lot of the articles and like the blogs from that time, people did not like those movies at all. Like all
Oh
of
yeah,
those
I was
actors
there.
from the yeah, and I'm sure yeah you were. I was like in middle school, but all those actors literally stopped acting because they were bullied out of acting because of those movies. People hated those movies. It's so funny how people like try to like re change history and stuff like that to make it
Yeah.
seem like, oh, those movies were the best ever. Like outside, like to me, outside of what's called Revenge of the Sith, those movies weren't that great.
Mm-hmm.
And even for me, Revenge of the Sith, the only reason I really liked that one is because I have like a nostalgia to it because I went to go see it and all that stuff, and we're really, really being hyped about it and getting all the toys and all that stuff. But yeah, it's weird how Hollywood, works.
Yeah. I mean, I can appreciate parts of it. Like I'll agree. There's a nugget in that movie that's really good. It's just not directed well,
Yeah,
and
no,
that's the biggest problem with it. And it's not written well. So it's like
mm-mm.
I
Dialogue is
get what he
horrible.
wants. Like he has politics that he wants to say, and that's what people have been trying to fight tooth and nail. Why the movies are good? It's just it's just the wrong storyteller telling it. Like I think if he gave it to Lawrence Kasdan to write it, It might have been a good movie because he's the one that co-wrote Empire with him. But this is after George got kicked out of the Writers Guild. So
Okay.
George is not in the Writers Guild, so anyone that works with him can be kicked out of the Writers Guild.
I did
So
not know that.
that's one reason why it worked that way. So Carrie Fisher, she's a writer. She was like, I would love to give you notes, George, but dot dot dot. I can't unless I don't want to be part of the guild. The whole reason he got kicked out of the guild was at the time when he did Star Wars, how the titles are done. It just starts Star Wars and then the crawl, right? Well, every movie, and then you'd have to say everyone that worked in the movie, and then the movie would start.
Yeah.
He went against that, and that's against the rules of the Writers Guild at the time. Now,
Oh wow.
probably now they wouldn't care, but that's what dismissed him from the guild.
No, these are from like the original movies or from the
From the
prequel
original
movies?
ones. Yeah.
Oh wow, what the hell? I didn't know. That's crazy. There's some deep lore. I didn't know that.
Oh yeah. So that's one reason why like he was dismissed from that, and then so okay, he's like, well, I don't need the guild, and that's one reason why the movies are story by and the future ones like, but then he had someone else write it. But he had some big things he wanted to write for the prequel movies, but he couldn't get anyone to touch it because they're like, George, this is too much of yours. That was kind of like the way they wrote it off. Like you, and it's kind of where he was like, well, I want someone else to direct it, but then he was like, he couldn't find anyone to direct it. I think Spielberg wanted a shot at it, but Spielberg was too busy with Saving Private Ryan, and then he went off to do Minority Report and so forth after that. That would have been kind of interesting. I think that would have been really cool to see. And sadly, it never came to fruition. I would have liked him to do anything now. It would have been kind of cool just to see Spielberg take on something. But I think out of respect to George, he wouldn't, because that's his bro. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I see good things and bad things in everything. So like even in the original series, like I mean, Star Wars 1 till that last bit, it's a little slow. It's a little clunky, but damn, that last 20 minutes, some of the best cinema you ever seen. And
Come
then
on, New Hope.
yeah, man. That the trench run.
Yeah, that's
Like
embarrassing.
you never seen anything like that, especially in the in '77 when it came out. Like no one was doing that. So I'm watching in the '90s and I was still being blown away. Hell, probably the '80s too. But watching that, and then I ain't gonna lie, I like the pod racing. I think that part's sick. It's kind of random in the movie, but it's something that. And I watched there's a series, Light and Magic on Disney. Season 2 is all about the prequel series movies getting made,
Oh
and
yeah, I know.
LLM working on it. And he was like, you could tell he put a lot of care into that idea, and you're like, that's cool. There's a lot of work being done here, and it looks, they're coming up with all these new visual effects and like physics and stuff like that. You're like, man, that's amazing. This is mind blowing for the time. Just sucks it's inside this movie. So it's like all these cool ideas, but it just the packaging of the film was not appropriate. And then you get to Attack of the Clones? Again, some really cool sequences, but some terrible dialogue in that movie.
Tough CGI. That was like the era the when CGI was really, really bad.
Yeah, he's trying to push the limits, but I think what works in episode 1, like all the droids, and I think some other filmmakers attest to it as well, is like that was like he was still shooting with film, or it was at least being put to film at the end of the day, whereas Attack of the Clones was fully digitally shot.
No, for real.
And so everything feels plastic, especially at that time period. it just has that weird sheen to it where the grain of the film kind of emulsified together with the digital
Hmm.
stuff and made things feel real. I think that's why the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park look really good and still hold up really well. Um, and that was what 32 years ago now.
Yeah.
And you're like, man, that looks like a real dinosaur. I don't know how they did that. um,
That's interesting. I didn't know. See, you're doing way more deep lore movies. Obviously, you work in film, so I don't really know about that. But there was an era where a lot of the CG for some reason in like 2000, between like 2000, like 99 to like 2005, 2006 was just like horrible.
oh yeah.
But then there'll be like those random pockets of movies that came out after that from like 2006 to 2012, where like the early days of like the CGI, the modern CGI that we see now, it still holds up to this day. Like it really looks really, really well. So that might
Hmm.
be something that, yeah, I mean, I guess the digital, the way they filmed everything, it doesn't look, it looks more realistic. It looks more, maybe I guess either paying the CGI people a little bit more or better back then or whatever. But,
Hmm.
even compared to some stuff that comes up today, a lot of the CGI from older movies looks way better or like still doesn't, holds up, doesn't look wonky, or it
Hmm.
actually looks like real. But yeah, I mean, yeah, Star Wars is a peculiar thing. Like I think that because one, it started the fandom, the fanatic fandoms of like that
Hmm.
type of medium and stuff like that, and there's a lot of nostalgia armor around it, where like a
Yes.
lot of people just they have this idea or feeling like, oh, Star Wars was just like this and it's da 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 da, and then like they just don't want to hear nothing else, and it's so
Yeah.
weird how that's like that. That's
So
like a big reason why I just can't even like even touch it anymore because I just don't like it. Just
yeah.
it just took me out of the fantastical world that it's supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? Like I talked about it in like the video that I did about just like how they just treated people and characters and stuff like that, and
Hmm.
it's just like so like ugh, it's just
So
gross. You know what I'm
so
saying?
so my first basic question I'll ask you is, how do you feel about the Last Jedi?
Which one's that? That's the one that just came out, right? The most recent one.
That's the one
One with
where
Ray, right?
Rey and Kylo Ren have that big fight in the Red Emperor room.
Okay, yeah, I heard. So, and then that's when they find out what's name was the bad guy again, the Emperor, right? He's like
Not yet. That's the last
that's the one
one.
before that. Okay, so
Yeah.
yeah,
So this
I
is
mean that
eight.
one. See, I like that one. That's the Ryan Johnson when he directed
Yes.
one. So I think that one was kind of the best one because it
Right.
deviated from what they because the Force Awakens is literally just the first
A
one over
recap.
again. It's
Yeah.
just literally the same thing over again. They didn't do anything like who was the director of that one? The dude that did Lost.
J.J.
What's his name?
Bambrins.
Yeah, he didn't do anything. He was just like scared. It was like I'm just gonna give what people want. And then Ryan Johnson completely
The
did a whole 360. He was like, fuck what he did. I'm gonna do something completely different. I really liked that one. I liked Luke's arc. I liked learning about Kylo Ren. I liked
yeah.
the innovation of how they were using the Force. So like whenever Kylo and old girl Ray were talking,
Yes.
they were like using the Force telepathically, but they had them like looking like they were looking at each other. The fight scene when they were fighting against Snoke was super dope.
Yes.
Even like the little beast war with the little kids, and then like you see
Yeah.
the kids. Yeah, so I was like, this movie is super dope. I really like this, and everyone's like, oh, we hate this, and this is horrible. They make the Jedi's. I was like, but this is like a real like. I watched a video about those movies and how they talked about each director and how like they kind of went about each movie and stuff like that and what they did and stuff. But I think that one was probably the best one out of the three because it was its own thing. It definitely deviated. It was an original story, and it kind of like it went against what Star Wars is about, quote unquote, but in a more productive way where it kind of questions like what were the Jedi's actual real motivation, what are these characters' purposes and stuff like that, and like where we go from here. Obviously it wasn't like a perfect movie or anything like that, but it has some good moments, So, but
See,
it it,
yeah.
it was I don't know, man.
No, I'm right there with you, bro. Because the internet tries to tell you that's the worst movie ever made and what's ruined Star Wars, but I think it was the best thing to happen to Star Wars since Empire. And you know, I'm looking at it from a perspective of writing and like visual language and like and building on upon lore like that hadn't been explored, like the whole connection, the duality of them, and like the first few weeks when that, or I'll say this, the first year that movie came out, no one didn't hate it, and all of a sudden, like everyone started hating on it, and like I'm like, what? Why are we mad about this movie? Like,
Mhm.
why are people upset? But I remember being there, and I didn't hear anyone complain. They liked the ride that they were on, but I think around when the next one came out, number 9, everyone started saying, "Well, this is going to fix everything that happened in 8." I'm like, "What? What happened in 8? It
Yeah.
was it was amazing." It's like, what are we talking about? So, it just became this like all of a sudden a new narrative was built that it wasn't good, and I was like, I don't think we saw the same movie.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, they'll find complaints about everything, and I'm like, all right, well, I
Yeah.
thought
Now.
I
Yeah.
thought
Now it's
those
just like
parts
you
were
don't even
cool.
know how people, because people like will literally just reiterate things that and not have their own opinion. Like they'll just reiterate other opinions they've seen on
Yeah.
Facebook or whatever. Like I literally have people who I like worked with. They were like, "Yeah, like Snow White, the new Snow White movie was horrible." Oh, they were, and we'll ask like, "Oh, did you go see it?" They're like, "No, but you know, it was bad." I was like, what do you mean it's bad? You didn't go fucking see it?" Like that's the thing that bothers me a lot about like this new wave of like people who watch movies and stuff like that. Is like
Yeah.
you're just
Then you
reiterating
watch it.
shit. Yeah, like if you like, I don't have a problem with people saying something's bad if they actually have watched it. They're like, I don't like the story arc, I don't like the dialogue, I don't like this, da da
Yeah.
da. And that's like a big thing. Like when I talk about like in my like the last video I did about the black women in
Yeah.
these spaces, right? A lot of
Hmm.
people kept saying, well, like objectively, like all those shows were just bad. Da, 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 da. I'm just like, well, I mean, that's not what I'm talking about. Like, yeah, the show you cannot like the show, and that's your own opinion. Like, you might not like the Ironheart, man. I like that. It's not what I'm talking about, but
Hmm.
it's like people aren't going for that though. That people will see a post, a viral post of somebody saying this show is bad and da da da, and then
Hmm.
never even go and watch it. I did like those shows will never even get the chance to even get people to give an honest critique because they're just going off of a Facebook
Right.
post, and then they're just like, well, yeah, it's bad. Everybody keeps saying it's bad, and then
Right.
you don't really realize a lot of people really do like go off that. A lot of people will, especially like we were talking about earlier. It's if time is finite. Like people are not trying to waste their time on something they feel like it's not going to give them what they want or see or whatever.
Hmm.
So like if people keep saying, "Oh, this is bad, it's bad, it's bad," and then they're just gonna not want to watch it, even though it might be good. Like those shows, a lot of those shows that people say are bad, I will watch it myself and see it if it is bad, and I will be like, it's cool. Like, do I think Ironheart is a great show? No, but I think it was good. I don't think it was horrible. I don't think people were like, and a lot of people are doing the same thing with Star Wars that they're doing now with the MCU, where they have this the nostalgia armor around like, yeah, before Endgame, all the MCU was just perfect. Da, da, da. It's like, are you serious? Like, like all the Thor movies. To me, the Thor movies are bad. All of them except for like Love, not Love and Thunder, but the Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Ragnarok was really really good. All the other ones, like Thor 1 was kind of like a little wonky. Thor 2, dark. The one with the elves, that one was not good at all.
Yeah. No one
Uh,
liked that.
yeah, that one was bad. You know what I'm saying? And in the Love and Thunder, obviously, it wasn't really good either. Even Iron
Love
Man,
and
like,
Thunder could have been great.
yeah, they did. That one was
Oh, like
pissed me off.
I remember falling asleep during it at home. I was like, man, this is a great idea, but it was like you have
Yeah,
Christian Bale, you have
yeah,
all
yeah,
these things, and like of course every time he's on camera, you're like, man, this is sick, but like something's not working, and it's so hard to put a finger on it other than
yeah.
like
They kept trying to make
just
it too
hearing.
funny, man.
Well, part of it is like Taika Waititi was like saying like I don't even like Thor, and I'm like, well, bro, you're not making me want to go see this movie. Like your energy's like it's like you made Ragnarok, which made people like, hey, Thor's cool, and then all of a
Yeah,
sudden you're like, I don't even like the character. I'm like, well, why are you even here? Like I get the paycheck idea,
yeah. I was like, just trying to get paid, man. That's that real money.
but it's also like I want you to. Do you not enjoy what you're putting together at least? Like,
Yeah, that was
especially
during the
since.
time too. Whenever all those directors were coming out saying like they didn't really get to have their own voice and stuff in Marvel
Mhm.
because they were like pretty much coordinating everything for them. So they
Yeah.
didn't have the creative liberties that they needed to like make the movies they wanted. All that stuff was
Hmm.
coming out. So yeah, that movie was just a little like Ragnarok was like lighting the bottle for that character for real. Like they
Like
had like
yeah,
everything it was just such a good movie.
and now I'm seeing like a retroactive saying that Ragnarok wasn't even good. I'm like, what are we
Ugh,
talking about,
yeah,
guys?
yeah, people are
I
just
was
saying
like,
whatever.
I was like, Like, what are we talking about? Like, I'll say this: I like Thor 1, even though it is Masters of the Universe, the Dolph Lundgren movie repackaged. I mean, it is like a celestial being comes to Earth and it walks around in our city and is like, "Oh, is this how humans are?" Like,
Oh, I gotta see that.
like,
I've never seen that movie. I gotta see that. That's
oh,
funny.
you should watch it. I enjoy that movie, even though it's trash. But I knew what it was, like I know what
Mm-mm.
I'm here for. But I like the fact that it's kind of interesting. Everything done in Asgard is like, oh, well, we got Kenneth Branagh directing. He made like Hamlet, So you're like, oh, you're getting this type of feel, and then all of a sudden we're on Earth and it's Slapstick City, and it's like, oh, well, this is just Masters of the Universe. Has no one ever seen that movie? Like, it just felt like that. So it's just interesting, like how, like, what people are into, and then all of a sudden, apparently things suck, and I'm like, what? Can we not just enjoy things anymore, guys?
Yeah, I learned like a long time ago, kind of like I say this all the time, but I watched Kevin Smith's Fat Man on Batman a lot back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And it was his podcast. He still does it now. It's him and Mark Bernardin, who's like a TV writer, and he just like articles and stuff. Um, and Kevin Smith will always say like he like appreciates everything, like because he's just like, well, I'm the guy who made this movie, and that movie sucked. So I mean, I can't really say anything about this. And he would just find like essentially he just finds the good in all the movies that he watched, because he's just like, well, back in my day, we got movies like fucking Daredevil, and that movie sucked. Not he
Yeah.
wouldn't say the stuff like, but he that to that degree where it's like, I'm just enjoying this stuff because who would have thought in my wildest dreams that I would get a movie where I saw this or I saw that, or what I'm saying? So I kind of have that same feel where it's just like, yeah, Love and Thunder kind of sucked, but it was cool to see, the female Thor on screen. That's cool. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
or, it's cool to see this on, this on screen, or this movie or this thing, or, like I really like, even though Acolyte had its problems, I enjoyed the idea of seeing the Old Republic and
Yeah.
seeing a new Sith character, and, all that stuff, and different ways of, them fighting and all this other stuff. Like I never thought I would see us. Did you watch Acolyte? I don't know if you saw it or not, but like one of the episodes, like the Sith character literally just murders all of the Jedi, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
bro, like that's fucking insane.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's crazy. Like I never thought I would see something like that in Star Wars, even with like Obi-Wan, where we saw like Darth Vader in like a different, because every time in the old movies Darth Vader didn't really do shit. He was like, he had like 1-2 fight scenes, and they were all like, slow, lackadaisical,
Oh, he's
whatever.
scary. He's more
Yeah,
scary. Yeah.
yeah, he's all, I say he's all aura. Like he just is all
Yeah.
mood, and
He's
I'm just gonna choke you, and that's him. But like in the
bro is
Obi-Wan
all
show,
for it.
we saw what he was about. You know what I'm saying? He was fucking slicing and dicing people. In Obi-Wan show, we saw him using the Force and just piling people with rocks, and just, you know what I'm saying? Like that
Yeah.
was awesome. And even in Rogue One, when he had that scene at the very end,
Oh yeah.
I was like, bro, no, I didn't even know he was gonna show up, and I was like, bro, no fucking way, bro. And this dude Darth
That
Vader just started
happened.
murking everybody, and you know what I'm saying? So like, like I'm just like happy to see that type of stuff on screen. That's just how I am. Like I'm not like who am I? I'm not an award-winning critic or Oscar. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm just here to see the fun. Like what are we doing? We're watching a movie about space robots and space, some goofy shit. Like I'm not about to hyper. This isn't a Broadway theater movie, or you know what I'm saying? It's just some funny shit. Just anything with superhero stuff. It's just funny. Like it's just supposed to be cool. Whatever. Like I don't care.
Yeah. Your
Whatever.
suspension of disbelief should be, especially if like Star Wars, it's not Star Trek where it's trying to be like, oh, this makes sense, in real science. Like Star Wars is fantasy more than science.
Oh yeah,
So I'm like,
100%.
I'm watching it. I'm like, am I being entertained? Yes or no? That's what I have to say about pretty much every movie these days. Like, is this entertaining me or no? And then, I'll give it a chance. And I've gotten, as I've gotten out of the film industry, I'm less like snobbish, I guess you could say, of like
Mhm.
how I feel about movies, and having kids too. I'm around what they watch, so I'm like, okay, well, was it entertaining? Yes or no? Yes. Does it
Yeah, for
have
sure.
something cool to say? Maybe. Um, so I'm a little bit more apologetic these days than old Jeremy would have been. uh,
Mhm.
Old Jeremy would have been like, "Oh, that movie sucks." Like, but I've enjoyed most of the things. I think the only movie I actually did say, "Oh, that movie was terrible," was the Star Wars 9, because it's just like, oh, we have to fall back into familiar territory, and then
Yeah.
we have to wrap it up, and like we have to kill off Kylo Ren, possibly the most interesting character in this entire new saga,
Yeah.
because he's actually creating something like a character with doubts. And I was like, why we hadn't had that? Why are we getting rid of it? Like, anyway.
Yeah, that movie, yeah, that it just did the same thing as The Force Awakens. Just like we're gonna do nostalgia and just we're gonna bring back the
Mhm.
Sith Lord and whatever, or we're not Sith Lord, the Emperor, and he's a fucking
He's alive.
zombie ghost thing, and he's alive, and Rey is the daughter of the Sith Lord. I mean, the Emperor for
Yeah.
somehow, some way, and she's not really a Skywalker. Because that was like when those movies came out too. I was in my era of like watching all the fan theories and stuff too, and then
Hmm.
they were all wrong. All this stuff was wrong. I was like, I'm over all this fan theory channels. I'm not watching this shit no more. It just pissed me off when every time they were
Right.
just wrong about everything. But
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
yeah, it's just so funny, man. It's just weird how they. And then now the more you watch, you realize like a lot of those popular channels they get to watch the movie early, and so
Hmm.
what they will do is they will misconstrue you. They'll know what's gonna happen, but they'll like act like they don't know, and then they'll like
Hmm.
leave little seeds of something that might be right, but then also purposefully just make stuff up and stuff like that. So like what they call them the writers or whatever. Like they'll give them the early screenings and all this other stuff. So
Hmm.
it's just weird, But I mean, I think movies right now. I think a lot of movies like are coming back that are coming out now are definitely making interests and are just like good things. Like I saw Sinners and I was like, man, this is I don't know. Did you see Sinners?
Oh yeah, I've seen it about 4 times, man.
That movie is fucking fantastic. Like I don't know, like man, Ryan Coogler. That guy, the stuff that he's making. Like I don't think he's made a bad movie. I don't know if he's actually made a bad movie. He's made so many great movies. Like everything I've
Yeah.
seen he's done has just been hit after hit. Fantastic storytelling, perspective,
No, he's a
cinematography. It's just like, oh my gosh, dude.
no. He's a juggernaut. He's impressive. Fruitvale Station,
Oh, I
Creed,
love that movie.
you name it. Anything he's touched is incredible. And in working with his De Niro, basically Michael B. Jordan,
Mm-hmm.
uh, it's like, man, what a this guy's tapped in with whatever Coogler puts out, and it's like it works like for him. And like, yeah, man, like I think if you had to have like one bad movie, and I don't even consider it bad. It's just unfortunate events, would be like Black Panther 2, just because well,
Chadwick Boseman passed away and stuff, and then COVID and stuff like that. A lot of stuff happened. But even with all that, I still think it was a really good movie. I really,
I
really enjoyed
know
Black Panther too.
I enjoyed it, but it like his original script idea, I was like, yeah, I wanted to see that journey, like because he had to rewrite the whole thing in like 2 months after
Yeah, that's
Chad died, and because they were ready to go filming, and he's like, no, he's sick, and everyone was like, what? We all pretty much found out when they found out, and that's
yeah.
the
I
part that
remember right before, like there was like a bunch of viral videos of him being like really skinny, and everybody was like, "What the hell is wrong with him? What's going on? What is he doing?" Da, da, da. And then
oh yeah,
lo and behold, he's like I don't know if it was on chemo or it was just like the cancer. I mean, obviously it was a cancer, but like
yeah,
I was like, dang, and then we find out he's passed away, and we're like, oh my gosh, what the hell, man?
he kept
Yeah,
it
that was
secret for all
tough.
those years. He kept it.
Yeah,
That's the part that kills me every single time. And my son loves Black Panther. He's like, what happened to him? Like he still asks about it now. And
mhm.
I was like, well, bro, he got sick, man, and he didn't tell anyone, and like he wanted you to be happy and not have to think about that stuff. Um, and that's the part that gets me. I'm like, man, like he was suffering through all that stuff for our entertainment. And
Yeah, for real.
like Kugler's idea was like, oh, he wanted to be like after the blip, like he comes back and he finds out he has a son, and his son didn't get blipped out. So it's like, oh, him trying to raise him and things like that. And he's like, how do you raise me? I don't even know who you are. That type of mentality. Like
Mm.
it would have been kind of like interesting. Like, well, how can I be a king but not be a father type of mentality. I'm like, oh shit. It's like it would have gone into some crazy depths. Um,
Yeah. I think
and
the movie that came out was kind of like his feelings towards how he felt. I mean, the movie was pretty much just about loss. Everybody
yeah,
lost something in that movie, and how I mean, it was
oh yeah,
probably like a lot of those actors and a lot of those people who worked in movies, real life feelings, obviously from losing Chadwick and stuff like that. That movie was
yeah.
really, really good. I remember, I think my wife saw it. We went to go see it together. It was like I think we went to go see right before my daughter was born, and my wife was like crying and stuff at the end of the movie. And she was like, "Oh my god, it's so sad." I was like, "Yeah, it was pretty. That was pretty tough, man. Like that was a really crazy
It
movie,
was a
man.
tough
Like."
movie.
Yeah, because like at the end, whenever they show the T'Challa Juniors pop up, and more of it, like, oh my god, I can't believe like I was like, dang, that is crazy. But then the way he wrote it, like, so now we're gonna get a new T'Challa because that was like a big thing. Everyone was like,
Yeah,
you know, we need to recast him, and that's the thing where it's like, yeah, I can see the argument about recasting him because being the
how
having a
could
role
you?
model and stuff like that, all that stuff,
Yeah,
because the first Black Panther movie was such a cultural hit, but
yeah,
it's just like the people who worked at movie, these are real people who really had a real relationship with him. They didn't want to fucking like
we can't move
disrespect
on.
him. Yeah,
Right.
it's not the same thing. I'm sure if Black Panther wasn't the hit that it was, like they would have probably been like, yeah, we'll just get a new guy. Who cares? Like it wasn't. But like that movie was a cultural movement. I remember when that movie came out, I was like, bro, this movie. I think I saw that in theaters twice too. Well, the first when it came out the first time, I saw it on my birthday. I think it was
Hmm.
like my 20th birthday. I remember I went to go see it, and I was like, "This movie is dope." I remember the first couple sequences. I was like, "Oh, this is kind of like Lion King," and then it kind of went from there. I was like, "Oh, this is something completely different. Like this is a phenomenal uh piece of film.
I was like, oh, he's telling King Lear. I was like, okay, so he's taking pieces from familiar territory, but then he's making it his own, talking about bigger messages of like all the stuff that he's trying to harken back with uh,
Killmonger and stuff.
Killmonger and all that stuff. You're like, oh fuck, and like how it relates to like I've noticed something in all his movies. 92 is important. It's a very important, pivotal moment in Coogler's life. Probably growing up in Oakland and that area. That's around when all the stuff was popping off with the riots and stuff. So I'm
Mm,
guessing that's what, because even like Sinners ends in 92. So it's like this is a pivotal moment for his life. Was that year? It had to be. Maybe it was the year he saw uh, Boys in the Hood or Don't Be a Menace or something about it. But it was a cultural point for
mm,
him that he wants to keep telling that type of like those stories,
I
even
didn't
if
notice
there
that. That's
are,
crazy.
even if they're like contextually like a horror movie or a vampire movie or Black Panther. He's still trying to tell what those movies were like to him.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what he's gonna do next. I mean, he's doing like a lot of producer stuff and like it says proximity media. They're like buying movies and stuff like that. Another
Mhm.
person who was like really great was like Jordan Peele. He's done a lot of great movies, which is
Yeah,
like out of the blue for him because I knew who Jordan Peele was from like the Mad TV days and stuff. What I'm saying? So all those goofy skits, and then they did had the Key and Peele show. I remember when that came out, I was like probably like in eighth grade, I think, when Key and Peele came out. And
Jesus.
then just out of nowhere, they just I remember yeah, that's crazy, right? I remember when I first saw the first trailer for Get Out, and it was on Facebook, and I was like, "Is this like a joke? This is for real?" And I was like, "Whoa, this is crazy!" And then when it came out, I was like, "This movie is freaking nuts!" And then it just kept rolling from there with Us, and then Nope. So I'm
Mhm.
interested to see what his next movie. I mean, he's produced some like some good movies, like the Candyman movie was really good.
Yep.
This movie, Him, looks like it's gonna be really good. So I'm interested to see what he's gonna do next because he has. I mean, in my eyes, the movies he's written and directed have been really, really good. So I'm
Yeah, he
interested to
was.
see what that's
I
gonna
know
go.
he was mad when his agent couldn't get weapons secured under
Yeah,
his brand. Um, I get why now.
I still gotta go see it. I heard it's so good. I still gotta go see it, man.
Yeah,
Fuck.
I won't mention anything about it, but it's really enjoyable. Uh, I liked it more than his first movie that this director did. He did
Oh, it's
Barbarian.
yeah. I like Barbarian a lot. It's the guy from The Wise Kids We Know. Whatever.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I didn't mind Barbarian. I just Hey, have you seen the movie Smile?
I have not seen that movie.
Okay, so Smile is basically a 5-minute premise stretched out too long. Um, but the way Smile ends, because Smile is basically a Junji Ito story.
Oh,
If
okay.
you really want to get down to it, I was like, oh, this is someone really likes Junji Ito. That's all I could think about while watching it.
Hmm.
So Smile One ending, I wish Barbarian had. Um, and that's what I tell people. I was like, oh, I like Barbarian, but I wish its ending was like Smile. I hate the rest of Smile, but the ending of Smile's dope. But then they fixed it by making Smile 2, because Smile 2 is
Yeah.
amazing.
Oh wow. I
Like
gotta check him out.
Smile 2 is cool because it's a continuation of one, but it's like with a completely new character and I like they elevated it because the first one, like the lead character is like a psychologist and she's just kind of mundane and boring. You don't really like her. But with
Hmm.
two, I like the actress. The premise is, what if a Lady Gaga type, Katy Perry type person started seeing this ominous demonic type thing following them everywhere with a big smile, and
Hmm.
you're like, I like that because she's like freaking out on stage and things like that. Like she's seeing things like herself that no one else sees, and she just looks like she's manic, and everyone thinks she's on drugs and all these other shit. So it like starts to make her look bad in the public eye.
Oh wow.
So I was like, that's what I wanted from the first one. Because the first one, it's like, oh, everyone in my family thinks I'm crazy, and they're like, okay, I've seen this like a billion times. But
Yeah.
put it in a different context, like where it's like a global look at like celebrities and like how social media treats people and stuff like that. Now
Hmm.
we're talking. So yeah.
Damn, that's crazy. There's been a lot of sleeper movies like Companion. I saw that one.
Oh yeah.
That one was really, really good. Interesting premise about like technology and how like the AI robot type deal and
Hmm.
how you like kind of like go about doing those type of things. That was pretty interesting.
That German sequence
Um,
in there was really good.
the which one?
When she's speaking German, I love that sequence.
Oh, is that what she's like with the cop car?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that
yeah,
was
yeah.
the sequence. Yeah, and then the guy fucking hits the other cop with the car and whatever.
Oh gosh,
Yeah, that was nuts. Yeah, that
spoilers,
one. That movie
spoilers for
was
anyone
nuts.
watching.
I watched it just randomly, like because I kept seeing it, and I was like, "What is this movie?" And then I watched it, and I was like, "Man, this is really, really dope." Like A24 had, a lot of running like a lot of good movies. I think they're kind of like veering away from a lot of the indie stuff, and they're starting to get like more
They're trying
bigger
to get
name.
popular. Yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like they're gonna kind of fall off. Like they did that war movie, and that was a little off kilter from what they're used to be putting out. So we'll see what happens with them.
Hmm.
It's definitely, if they do that, it's definitely going to be a shame because they definitely put out a lot of great projects. But it happens. Like I remember when Blumhouse first came out, Blumhouse was popping, but now they're kind of like
Yeah,
ass. Like nobody, like they don't have any of the hits no more.
they hadn't had
But
anything hit in a while.
yeah, they went back to like B movies essentially. Like I don't think anything they've done anything has been like crazy.
Yeah. Did you watch? What was it called? I forgot what it's called. Late Swim or something like that. About the killer pool or whatever.
I don't know. I haven't seen anything.
Night Swim. That's what it's called.
I
Basically, it's
don't
like
think so.
this people move into a house, and apparently wherever this pool was built, I guess it was like a witch's bog at some point. And so everyone keeps seeing, like, when they go swimming at night, they see like a demonic thing tries to take them. And I was like, this is so lame of a premise.
Mhm.
Like a demonic pool. Like we gotten to this point, Blumhouse, like the well is dry.
Yeah. I saw Bring 'Em Back, that movie with the
I'll
with the
bring her
moms
back.
and that movie was really, really good. I like that one. It was creepy, interesting. And then the
Talk to her.
director, yeah, yeah, Talk to Me, whatever, yeah, with the
Yeah,
hands. That
that was
movie was really
sick.
good too. That movie was
Yeah.
actually really, really good. That movie freaked me the hell out. I was like, bro, this is nuts. That movie was dope. So both of those.
The visual style in that movie was so sick. I hadn't watched the new one yet, but I was like, I'm excited to watch that one.
Yeah, it was crazy. Like whenever they got possessed and how like they would do the camera movement and stuff like that. That movie
Hmm.
really, tripped me out. I think horror is definitely in like in a good space where, because
Oh yeah.
I think horror is like one of those genres where you can kind of just do whatever as long as you kind of like have a little bit of scariness to it. Like you can have a horror and action, horror and
Hmm.
comedy, horror and drama, horror and and all combined it all together. Where, like a lot of other genres, you can't really do that. Like you can't really. I mean, you can kind of do that a little bit. Like action can be a little bit of funny, drama can be funny, but like horror, you can just encompass so many different things within the horror genre. I think that's why a lot of directors and movie people kind of lean towards that. And I mean, I like doing horror. Like in like
Oh yeah.
a lot of my comics have like a horror element. Like AWOL has a horror creepy vibes to it with like the monsters and stuff like that.
Yeah,
At
it's
least
very
that's what I'm
versatile.
going for. Yeah.
It's a very versatile genre to play in because you can kind of do anything you want, and like if as long as people are along for the ride, you can
Hmm.
take them on that ride, and the expectations are just thrill them.
Yeah, I think as long as you like establish the rules early on about like, okay, this is what this guy can do, and this is how he does it, and then you're like, all right, no, let's go play. Like, Freddy Krueger, he comes in your dreams, so every time you fall asleep, he's gonna pop up, so you better not go to sleep, and then you just kind of figure out how to get people to fall asleep or not fall asleep or whatever.
What a great
So
premise.
yeah, that movie is. I remember the first time I saw it, Friday the 13th. Instead of going trick or treating, my dad was like, "This is watch Friday the 13th or not Friday 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street," and I was like,
Hmm.
"Okay." And then it was the original one with Johnny Depp, and I remember that scene alone threw me off where he's just on the bed and it just out of nowhere it becomes this whirlpool of blood. And I was like, "Why are we watching this movie? Like,
Yeah,
this is not
I
good."
tell people that was like the first movie. I had a loose tooth, and I saw this when I was like 5 years old on like regular TV. It was like on TBS or something, replaying on
Mhm.
USA or something, like in the middle of the day. And I was like 5 years old. So the first one had been out, I guess, around 6 years at this point. So it was playing, and I had a loose tooth, and Freddy pops up from under the bed and tries to stab her, and I remember yanking my tooth out.
Oh snap!
My first tooth was from watching that. I scared the shit out of myself.
That movie was scary, man. That movie scared the shit out of me. Like the opening scene in like the with the
Boiler.
sewer, yeah, the
Yeah.
boiler room and stuff. Yeah, that movie, that scene, that movie scared the shit out of me. The other movie that scared the shit out of me was the very first Insidious.
Oh yeah. I
That
watched
movie
that
was
recently. It
fucking
was one of my COVID watch movies because I was like, I hadn't seen this. Let me watch it. And I was like, man, that first one, kind of crazy.
that first one was scary, especially like the hell scene, and then when they had the Tiny Templeton or whatever his name is song, the Tiptoe Through My
Hmm.
Tulips. That song, fucking yeah.
Oh yeah.
That
And then
movie
you
was.
see
Ugh.
it. You get one of the best jump scares though when she sees the devil demon behind him.
Yeah, yeah, that
That
was one
image,
of the best.
that image is like I knew that image before I even watched the movie, and when it happens, you still get freaked out by it. You're like, God
Hmm.
Lord.
Yeah, and it's like whenever they're in the room and you see like the finger pointing out. I remember that scene scared the hell out of me. I might have been in like high school when that movie first came out, and I was like, man. And then they just milked all those movies. Like
Oh yeah,
that actor, he's like the guy that played in The Watchmen.
yeah. Patrick
He
Wilson,
just he just like milked all those movies, like Insidious, and then what's the other one? The where he plays the
Conjuring.
yeah, he's like I'm just gonna make as much money as I can with these movies, and he just pretty much did.
Well,
And the Conjuring movies were just
he became like James Wan's boy. Like I was surprised when he showed up in Aquaman, as Ocean Master, and I was like, man, James Wan must love Patrick Wilson. He's put him in everything since he started working with him.
oh wow, I didn't know there was the same directors.
Yeah, so James Wan, he's the guy who created Saw. So he created Saw, and then he created Insidious, and then he got tasked because he's like Warner Brothers like big money maker. Like
Mm-hmm.
when you look at it on paper, you're like, oh, he's made a ton of money on little budgets for them. So they were like, hey, we'll put you in charge of Aquaman. And Aquaman 1, I hadn't seen the sequel, but
Yeah, the
Aquaman
first one
1,
was really good.
I had fun watching it,
Yeah, me too.
and he shows up in it. And I was like, oh snap, he's the Ocean Master, and he's so cheesy in that movie. I love it because he's like screams every line,
Yeah,
and I was like. was like, James, you just had to put your boy in here, huh?
Yeah. Some directors, they get their guy, and they're just like, they just know what they're gonna get from him, and they're gonna keep him around.
Yeah, it's just fun to see when it happens because you're like, well, I mean, he's I don't hate him. It's just funny that when it happens, you're just like, good for him. Like if you find someone that you can work with, I mean, it's just like Ryan Coogler and
Yeah, Michael
Michael B.
B.
Jordan. Like if they don't work together, I'm like, I'll be shocked. Like, what happened? Or Scorsese and De Niro. It's like,
Yeah,
or Scorsese now with DiCaprio. It's like it's kind of expected that they make movies together. Otherwise, it's like, what happened?
or like Tarantino and Samuel Jackson.
Oh right, yeah. Like he does, and Sam's like, I don't care what he puts me in. I'm in it, and I'm like, I love
Yeah,
that someone's like, he's on board no matter what.
yeah,
And
and
like
is
it
it?
could be a small role or a big role, and I love that.
Yeah, Spike Lee and Denzel. Yeah, each director, they find their actor and they just keep them
I
around.
I hadn't seen the High and Low remake, but I've heard it's okay.
Yeah, I've heard mixed things about it. I'm still gonna watch it just to
Yeah,
see, but Spike Lee, is
I
Spike Lee, man.
I have my opinions about Spike. Um, he's hit or miss. I love all his earlier stuff. His later stuff
Yeah,
becomes hit or miss, but um, it's just I saw someone's review saying like, "Yo, man, you can make a movie not about New York." I is that the meanest thing we could say about him now? It's like,
yeah, it's funny. Yeah, they I was watching a podcast earlier actually when I was cutting the lawn. I was listening to it, and they were talking about just like pretty much everything after like what movie, like Malcolm X or something like that, where it's just kind of like onesie twosies you kind of pick from that were good, like, but he kind of just like peaked after like in that era. It's like She Got Game was really good. Malcolm X. What was the other one? With the neighborhood.
uh, do the right thing.
Do the Right Thing. Like those movies were like freaking cultural phenomenons, hits, really great
Yeah,
movies. But then after that, it's kind of like hit or miss. Like He Got Game. I like He Got Game, but that wasn't one that everybody really liked. Inside
yeah.
Man is pretty good, but
Okay,
he
good
just
commercial
directed
too.
that one. He didn't write that one.
Mm-hmm.
And then everything else, like Black Klansman was cool. I liked the Five Bloods. I recently just rewatched that one. That one was
Yeah,
really
that
really
one's good.
good. So yeah, he's definitely like hit or miss. He's definitely
Yeah,
kind of like, I'm just gonna do whatever I want, and then y'all gonna figure it out if y'all like it or not.
yeah.
So
I mean, I like some of his '90s stuff, like Clockers and Crooklyn and things like that. But no one talks about those movies really anymore in the context of them. Um,
yeah,
it's She's Having a Baby, things like that. All these types of movies. Like I think he wanted to be like the indie guy forever, but then he had to take some commercial gigs. But then you get to points like remaking Old Boy, and you're like,
oh yeah,
why? Like, why did
yeah. That
anyone?
was, I never seen the original, but I definitely saw that one, and I was like, Spike Lee did this movie? What the fuck? Then I just watched it. And I was like, this movie is nuts. Like, what the hell? And I think, yeah, that movie was crazy with Josh Brolin in it. It's like, it's random. I still gotta
Yeah.
watch the original one. I know the original was supposed to be way better, but I gotta see it.
Oh, oh yeah, it's way better. So because I was a huge Old Boy fan. I like Chamble Park films in general. That Korean wave of cinema hitting, uh, it's really good. And like when that movie came out, I was like, first of all, I was like, oh, Old Boy by Spike Lee. I was like, oh, all right. And how he did it, I guess it's unique, but it was just like, oh, this is like so subpar compared to the original movie. I was like, oh, I can't. I was like, it made me like, what are you doing, Spike? Like I was doing that the whole time watching. I was like, what are you doing? Like I know you
That's
better
funny.
than this.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah,
But
I
it's
gotta.
just oh yeah, I think you'll like it because most people don't know this, but Old Boy was a comic.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've seen the manga, like all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely got to check those out, like the movies and stuff like that. I just haven't
Want to
like just had the time to check all that stuff out, man. This is
talk about something that's better than the original?
oh, is it?
Because I had this one. I got like I got this one long time ago. It was still DVDs then, but I got this DVD set of Old Boy. Came in a big tin can. Came with the movie. It came with the manga. It came with
Wow.
a film strip, like a scene from it and all that stuff. A making of book. and like I read the manga then. I was like, oh, they just took this idea and was like, I'm gonna make it my own.
Oh wow,
They were like, I got a better idea.
that's kind of like
Like,
the boys.
yeah, that's right. So it's like I have this concept. We're just gonna. I felt like
Just
with
gonna make
Old
it
Boy, they're
better.
like, we need to do this, otherwise someone might sue us if we say we're making Old Boy but not call it Old Boy.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, that happens rarely, but yeah, there's definitely like people find the concept and they can make it better. And the boys was
Hmm.
definitely that. Where like the boys comic is super cynical and just super like Garth, and it's just like I just hate superheroes, so I'm just gonna make them the worst people ever and not really give like a really great reason behind it. Whereas the show, they're giving like social commentary on like celebrity and how it really would be, for have superheroes and dot 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 dot. Um, so I mean, I appreciate the boys show for sure. And I read the whole entire comic, and I was just like, bro, this is really hard to get through. Like, it's funny, I guess, at times, da da da, but it was just like, this is not it. Like, I don't know what. I mean, Garth Ennis. I mean, like I said, he just doesn't like superheroes just as
Yeah.
much like Alan Moore. All those guys. They didn't like none of that stuff. But I was like, this comic is not good. It's too
What?
crude for no reason. I don't like when it's like, I don't like when things are just super crude for like no reason. Like they're just like, oh, we're just gonna do just crazy stuff. Like that's how I feel about like a lot of Mark Millar stuff now. Like a lot of it is
Mm.
just kind of like we're just gonna do the most outrageous stuff because I just can, and
Mm.
there's not really like a reason. Like it just like what was the point of doing that? Like what was the point of you having that scene there, or like this random sex thing, or like fight like somebody dying? You know what I'm saying? That's how I feel
Yeah.
about Mark Millar a lot now.
I haven't read a lot of his stuff. All I knew about really was Kick Ass because of the movie. And Jr. You know, John Romita Jr. drew it, so I was like, that's what captured my attention right away.
Mhm.
Because I was a big Jr. Fanboy from the Marvel days. Like his run with Spider-Man, especially when he was working with John uh, Straczynski, that
Mhm.
era, that early 2000 issues where I think Morlun was created and stuff, and Ezekiel, all that stuff was probably his top tier action, but also with a great story behind it all. I feel like sometimes it gets lost a little bit because there's been so much Spider-Man to come after it, but man, like that was some good stuff.
Yeah, John Romita Jr. is definitely prolific as hell. Like he's put out so much work. It's actually kind of crazy to think about how much comics he's actually produced throughout the time he's been around. Like compared to like so many other people who came and went, he's definitely like on some like mangaka level of just like doing hella runs, doing all these covers, doing this, doing that, like whatever he's told to do or whatever he feels like they want to give him to do, he's gonna do it. And just, I mean, he's in Marvel stuff, DC stuff, independent stuff. He just did that Kickstarter with Mark Millar for that one book. I don't even know
Hmm.
what it was. And I was like, I'm not about to buy this. This is just gonna be in the comic shop in a couple months. So I was like, I'm not about to buy this. But like, I love John Romita. John Romita is one of my favorites also. And
Let the
yeah,
guy
Kick
up.
Ass is one of my favorites as well.
Let that guy up from the chair. Every single time I see his social media video, bro,
Yeah.
he looks like he's chained to the desk.
Yeah, he might as well be, man. If he's not like going to a show, he's drawing some pages, and
Yo,
he's just
you
like
should.
knocking that shit out.
I mean, I was laughing. I would show. I was like, I would send Brian's like, look, man, he's at the airport with the art easel on his lap. I was like, and he's like, hey everybody, I'm headed to blah 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 Arizona, blah 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 Comic Con. I'm like, bro, he can put the pencil down, can he? Like that's all I could think about. I was like, is he that strapped in? Like, I was like, I mean, more power to him. If you love it, you do it your whole life. That's
Hmm.
what I want to do. But at some point, I'm also like, yo, he's a legend. Can he take a break?
Yeah, I don't know. I think he kind of has that mentality, like from his dad, and like he grew up around all those guys who were like Jack Kirby and all them who were like working fucking
Yeah.
forever. So like, But for them, it was a different circumstance where like they weren't getting paid shit, so they had to keep making money. Whereas like I feel like he's probably on salary. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure he's like he has like the hookup
Oh,
at Marvel. You know what I'm saying? Like he probably has the 401k. He has the healthcare and stuff like that. He's not a freelancer. I think he's full time contract with Marvel. So like he probably could take a little bit of a chill, but he probably just like nah, fuck that. I'm just gonna keep drawing and
I
making
mean,
these books and
yeah,
stuff.
more power to him if he's doing it and he loves it. It's just funny because he just always every video is like instead of him just standing, it's him at a table or something or
Yeah,
him flying with something in his lap drawing. I'm like, give give the man a break, y'all.
yeah. Let
Let
him
the man
chill,
be.
man. Jesus Christ, he's made enough money, man. I'm sure he can take a couple days off, but yeah, he
Let the
probably
man
definitely
go
is
to the
on some.
bathroom.
Yeah, bro.
Let
Let him
him
get off,
up.
get up. Damn. Yeah,
He's got to
he's
stretch.
yeah. And it's crazy. I didn't realize how long he's been around since the 70s. You know, it's crazy. Like, so he's just been grinding nonstop since then.
It's cool to look at his evolution, because
Mm,
he was born out of the house style and had like basically was his dad and like you see those earlier comics that he's working on and it's like man he's got this dad's energy but then like at some point he just started shifting and becoming more of this blockier
mhm.
style that I was like man that's really cool looking. It's like how
Yeah,
to
I
get
really
there.
like his stuff. Yeah, I really like his stuff too. Like his shorthand and stuff. It's really recognizable. It's really him. And like when I see people who are like, yeah, I don't like John Reed's art, I'm just like, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Like that shit is just really it's just dope, man. And he has the ability to make it make sense. Keep it simple, keep it easy, and then just keep it pushing, you know, and that's how he's able to produce so much work, you know. Like I don't know, man. I don't know why people don't understand. And then he's just yeah, he's just done so much. It's crazy.
Yeah, he's like I said, like I can never hate on him. Like people were trying to crack on him for some shots recently. I'm like, wasn't Spider-Man supposed to be look like he got punched in the face though? Like I thought that was the whole point. Like from what I could tell, it was like he was kind of like getting his butt kicked. So yeah, his face is okay to look a little messed up. But I guess people were like, nah, man, this ain't it. And I was like, y'all crazy. Y'all trying to snap on him now?
Yeah, but yeah, he's definitely one of those guys that's kind of probably deal with that a lot. Like I think he gets a lot of hate, a lot. You know, Rob Liefeld gotten hate since he came into the game, but the difference is that Rob Liefeld now he deserves a lot more than John Romita does. John Romita just does mind his own business.
Yeah, it's like everyone's hating on Frank Miller's current work.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, Frank Miller's like fucking 80 years old. Like, give him a break, man. Let him. He can draw whatever the fuck he wants.
Also, he's in his Picasso era, gang. Like, let the man draw. Like, he was drawing 70s and 80s. He was giving you that lifestyle art, just like Picasso was. And then he started developing that more blockier
Yeah,
style. And now he's definitely like leaned into it. It's like, guys, let him draw what he likes. I think that looks sick. He's coming up with some weird looks. I'm like, I had never seen anyone do that.
yeah, it is very peculiar, very interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, like he's freaking, you know, he's done his thing. Like he can just do what he wants. You know what I'm saying? If they're gonna pay him to do that shit, let him do it. Let him draw the the blockiness that because it's not like his old stuff ain't going away. And then even in his old stuff, if you really pay attention, you can see that stuff in there. You can see what he's
Oh,
doing
yeah.
now in there. It's just like
Since
I mean, I don't know,
Ronin.
maybe yeah, yeah, it's just Ronin, even some of the old Batman stuff, like you can see a lot of that, those elements of like the blockiness in there. Like it's just now he's just like I guess he's probably old, he's probably just like, man, whatever, I'm just do what I want. Just I don't need to impress nobody. I have nothing to prove no more. I don't need
Hmm.
to draw like the best, you know.
Yeah, I'm just like, that's cool. Let him do it.
Yeah,
I,
for
th-
sure.
I think it's pretty neat.
Hell
I
yeah.
mean, he did something recently. I was like, oh, that's really cool. Which one was it?
He did the one for the Spawn book that's coming out with Shirley Johnson or the fuck it's called. I saw that one. Um, he's in a lot of different ones.
Yeah, he's been doing a
Everything he
lot
does,
of,
he just goes viral.
yeah, because it's bizarre to people. But I'm like, yo, let the man
Mhm.
cook. He's
Yeah, for sure. He
be happy
deserves it. I
he's
mean,
even still making stuff.
that's a fact. That is a fact. Whew. All right. Well,
Where
I
we
didn't
at?
realize we've been on for almost 3 hours.
Oh, okay. Well, I think this is probably a good stopping point.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll see what we
And
got here.
I got a freaking pee. I've been holding my pee in for a little bit, man. Low key, but that looks good, man. That looks dope.
Yeah, there we go.
Hell yeah, man. You're gonna try making it. When is the convention? What, like next month?
Yeah, so I got till the I think the 11th is when I fly out, but the event's the 13th and 14th. Yeah, so I'm working on that. So I'll keep chopping away at it. Try to
Oh
get a
yeah.
color print of it maybe out there. Um, yeah, so keep working on that. But yeah, I think that's coming out pretty good.
Yeah, it's dope, man. When are you projected to like have it done? When do you think you'll have it ready to go?
Well,
Mhm.
I'm juggling like 5 things. I got a commission I can't show on here. I'm working on a
Mhm.
story with Deanna, and then my own personal book, which this is for. But this is just be something kind of a one-off. So I feel like I'm juggling so much, but hopefully I'll be able to work on it this weekend to finish it if I get time. Uh, it's just basically. Oh, and then I'm also working on like a book cover for an author. So it's like it's like okay.
Yeah.
It's like I got to pick, chop away at that checklist and then get back to this. But I got time before this is quote unquote due.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you've elevated to the point where you have people desiring your work and stuff like that. That was something I was gonna try to get to. We don't want on in some natural tangents about movies and stuff like that. So I think where we went was interesting. But you definitely went from like doing your own thing to now people are like wanting to buy your art, commission you a lot. Every time I look up, you have a new piece you're working on for somebody. Like that werewolf one you did. That
Yeah.
that piece is sick, man. I look at that, I'm like, dude, like, I don't know how the hell you
Oh
came
man.
up with that concept and that all that stuff.
Oh, you'll like the cool thing about it was in the book I did. Where's it at? I did that so you could get the both, just what it looks
Oh,
like,
that's
black
nice.
and white, and in color. So yeah. That's one of my favorite pieces I recently did. I was very happy about it, and I was happy that he even thought of me. I met the author uh, at Heroes Con, and we hit it. He knew about some of the books I've been doing. We hit it off, and he asked me to do it, and I was like, I would happily do it. He wanted just a digital piece, but I was like, nah, man, I gotta do this for real.
Dang, that's sick, man. That's
Yeah, so
dope. It's
yeah,
it's funny because like I feel as though like like the people that I pay attention to in like the space that I kind of consider as like peers, like who I look at as like you and like Brunson, because you guys both produce the same amount of pages as me, and then you guys are like trajectorying in a way that I kind of look towards.
hmm
So I think it's funny how like you were like one of the first interviews I did on my last channel. And I
yeah,
think about the conversation just about how you were telling me about um the mailing list stuff and then giving out free things is things like that. And I pretty much implemented that a lot into what I was doing with like my website and all that stuff. And I feel like that's definitely helped. And then,
yeah,
like I looked at you making all these comics and stuff like that. Like I was telling you earlier about you making your personal story about your grandpa and how that inspired me to do my basketball story and things like that. So I always look to see, and now I see where you are, where you're doing like you got a commission going on every other day. You know what I'm saying? You're working on just like it's to a point. It's like you dropped like 10 comics, and then now it's like okay, now I'm doing 100 commissions this year, and then I'm interested to see where you're going next. Same thing with Brunson. Like I always see him; he's doing a commission for somebody all the time. He has a bunch of comics coming out, and then with me, it's like, well, I'm not doing the commission, but it's like I got the YouTube thing going
yeah.
crazy
It's
right now. Like it
huge.
doesn't even
Yeah,
make so it's funny to see that, like I said, like I see you guys as like peers, as people who are like not too far away from like my grasp, but also like in my stratosphere. And I'm also have like connection. Like I was able to talk to you a lot. I've been able to talk to Brunson pretty often and stuff. So I think it is just funny how, in a year's time where everybody's kind of standing at, and even like
oh
me,
yeah,
like I this last convention, I sold out. Like I had early copies of AWOL, sold them out. Like they were
That's
going.
awesome.
My Nobody Safe comic. I had like 3 copies left of that, and just see everybody's like trajectory is interesting. Even a lot of the other people in the group, but like I said, you and Brunson are kind of the guys that I kind of see because we are kind of on the same wavelength of just like productivity and stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm just interested to see what's going to happen, in the next like 6 months and stuff.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. Yeah, and there's like commissions that I've done that I can't even show yet, like because people like, oh no, this is for a gift, this is for something. I'm like, so I
Oh
have so
yeah.
many things like I can't even show that I've worked on, which
Mm-hmm.
is kind of crazy because I'm like, oh yeah, I can't talk about that piece yet, but I've like put it in the book because I asked permission, like, oh yeah, yeah, it'll be fine. That guy won't be there, or it'll be
Yeah.
long enough where it's fine. I was like, cool. Like that flip card art, that was
Oh yeah, I forgot. That was super dope. I forgot you did do that. I remember seeing that. I was like, man, this guy's on the next level. This guy, that was a great concept. Yeah.
Oh man, it was fun to do. It's exhaustive to think
Oh
about
yeah, I
though,
bet.
because you like all that goes into it. Like you're having to put like you think like I was trying to come up with like mathematical ways, but the computer, my cutter wouldn't work right. But I ended up
Mm-hmm.
having to draw on all these little cards. I did it twice, one for one side, one for the other, and then I would get like this super grade adhesive, which is supposed to last like 100 years, so it won't degrade.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then I would have to get cardstock of like I would get acrylic painting cardstock, which is real thick and heavy. I would get my wife's Cricut machine, cut it out to the same sizes of these, and then adhere both sides to the cards,
Oh man.
and then make sure after I've painted and everything, do touch up stuff like that. Then
Mm-hmm.
having to make sure it lines up, sand down some parts, make sure it like does all this proper stuff. So it's it's a big one, and I had to do that twice, uh, because he liked one, he wanted another. So
Oh my gosh. It's like, no, but it's like the money. Oh
yeah,
no.
exactly. I was like, yo, I love this project. It was fun to do, but in my head, I'm also like, this is hard. Like,
Yeah, this is
it's
extra
like
work.
even doing this type of piece that we're working on tonight. Like even like you're working on your piece, that's like nothing. But like when
Mm-hmm.
it's something like it almost becomes now it's like a repetitive act, and it's more tedious now because I'm having to
Yeah.
make sure things line up. I have to make sure the puzzle works.
Yeah,
If it
for sure.
doesn't, then it's just annoying and I'm having to fix things and start over or whatnot. So with this, it feels more natural. With the other one's there's more math involved. So it's like, oh God.
Yeah, that is a mission. That's how it
It's like,
was on Monday when I was getting all the books printed and mix them. For some reason, maybe this is my own ignorance, but like I was hoping like, okay, I could just upload the files, I'll mix them, and then I could just switch out the covers because I did all the variants. No, I had to just keep re-uploading all over again. All fucking
yeah.
the first issue is like 60 pages. I had to re-upload all 60 pages over and over, make sure they're all lined up. And then I did it. I had to do that 4 times for issue 1. Then I do it twice for issue 2, and I was like, bro, why did I do this? I'm not doing no more variant covers anymore. Like it's just a headache. And then I had to do yeah. And then I did the little mini prints. I had to figure out. I had to resize it. Like that Monday, I was up to like 2 a.m. getting all them printed up, and then I had to go to work at 6. So I was like tired as hell Tuesday. And then I was just like, bro, like this is. I'm not doing this again. And then I was like thinking, I was like, man, because my goal is to get to the trade, and that's gonna be probably like 150 pages, maybe more. And I'm just like, oh my god, bro. And then like a lot of the I added double page spreads to a lot of the issues, so I was like, I gotta make sure all the page counts are right, so that they line up. And so I had to like add pages, delete pages, and rearrange pages and stuff like that. I was just like, bro, this is
Can't win.
shitty,
Can't
man.
win.
Yeah.
It was like when I was trying to figure out, like, oh, I can just make a hardcover version of my Batman book.
Yeah,
There's more math apparently. I'm like,
yeah.
oh, okay. I was like, so it's like all these little things, like trying to get the cover to in the back to work properly. It was a pain in the butt because now there's more to compensate with the thickness
Mm-hmm.
of like the materials involved. There's like more overhang, and then I was like, there's additional pages. Why? I was like, how? I've asked for it to be this long, but no, it's like, you need at least 1 or 2 extra pages. I was like, okay. Fine. So that was a problem I had to solve. But at least now, like I just have to hit the print more button when I'm ready.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But it was just
Yeah, same.
that type of stuff that like drains me because you're like, I want to get to the creative part, not this task.
Yeah, that is annoying. Like even before, because like I was thinking, I was like, maybe I can do a prestige like format because the book is so long, so like it would look better. But then I was like, you have to make a spine. I was like, oh my god, and I was trying to figure out how to do that and all this other stuff. And I was like, and it's also like I would have been over my budget of what I got from the Kickstarter. I was like, you know what? Let me just do what I'm used to doing. Just staple book is fine. People are gonna be happy with that. Whatever.
Yeah, with this. And this book is the size of like it's 8.5 by 11, which I really love this size, especially like since it's like a magazine type format. I'm like, give me this all day, man. I'm like, this is sick. It was easy to put together. It feels good. I didn't have to worry so much about margins and stuff. So I was like,
you went through mix them with that one?
Yeah, I did. I went through that and it worked out really well. I was like, can I put this book together easily? And let me tell you, Canva, man, Canva and Mix'em is a good combo for making like a magazine style book if you ever need to in the future.
Yeah, I definitely want to do my own art book eventually once I get enough pieces under my belt to put out there. But yeah, man, I appreciate you showing up. Let me run your promo one more time before I get off here. Dang, we were going for a long time. I didn't even realize that.
3 hours, man. We ran it, dude.
Yeah, we were going. So you guys can check out Jeremy Hyler at his website. You can check out his portfolio, his comics. All of his comics are on there for free to read. You can download them as well. You can go to shop. You should also commission Jeremy. He is a dope artist. This is the piece I was talking about, the wolf one. This is fantastic. This piece is also super dope. I actually have the print of this. I think I have it hanging up on my wall right now, actually. So if you don't, go check him out on there. Follow him on Instagram at Jeremy Hyler Art. He is a dope artist, pretty active on there. He posts a lot, so go check him out. Great guy. He's almost at 1,000 followers, so let's get him to 1,000.
So close.
Yeah, so close. This is that piece he was talking about with the flip cards. That's crazy.
Yeah, I loved it. But I was like, how can I make this harder? And I always make it harder. But it makes it better at the end because I was like, at first I had no background on it. I was like, I gotta put fire.
Yeah,
so he's got to be coming out of the flames. And I was like, why did I do that?
Yeah, I'm the same way. When I like look at like the pages I do, I'm just like, why can I just keep this simple? But oh yeah, man, I appreciate you for stopping by, man.
Yeah, man, we'll have to do it again.
Oh yeah, for sure. All right, go
Bye.
in this stream.